Chapter 3280. The other patriarchs did not hear Immortal Hermit of South Pole's words, except for Chief Patriarch, who knew about the rainbow race. Chief Patriarch asked, "Is it Luli?" The other patriarchs were taken aback. One of them asked, "Isn't Luli dead? How can he survive in the eye of destruction? There is no news from the rainbow race." "He is not dead," Immortal Hermit of South Pole said with a straight face. "I can smell his energy. I am familiar with his origin of soul. He did it." What? All the patriarchs looked at each other, speechless. Back in the day, this matter had a great impact. They all knew that Li went into the eye of destruction. Could anyone come out from that place? Didn't all warriors close to the absolute completion of the eye of destruction die in there? Chief Patriarch thought about it and asked, "Father, where is Luli now? Can you sense it?" "Let me try." Immortal Hermit of South Pole closed his eyes. His eyes glowed as images appeared. A moment later, he widened his eyes and shouted, "No, he has gone to the South Pole region." "What?" The patriarchs were taken aback. They followed Immortal Hermit of South Pole to the nearby city as fast as they could. They went to the nearby city and went to the teleportation altar. Just as they were about to be teleported away, they noticed that the altar here dimmed down. No, the patriarchs were frightened. The dimming of the altar here meant that the other altar was destroyed, which meant that Luli was attacking the South Pole city. Just now, Immortal Hermit of South Pole brought most of the patriarchs with him. There were only 3 patriarchs in the South Pole city. One of them was at the later stage of the Saint King realm, but who could stop Luli? He was a freak that could come out from the eye of destruction. "You 5 stay here," South Pole Immortal Wang ordered. He got 5 Doyens to hold down the fort here, while the other 5 Doyens went to another realm's main city to hold down the fort. He instructed, "All of you are to hold down the main city. Gather all the clansmen back to the main city and activate the main city's defensive formation. If Luli comes, just use the city to defend. I will take care of hunting him down." Immortal Hermit of South Pole's strategy was right. The Ray race did not have many people. As long as the Ray race could survive, the other losses were not important. It was pointless for the other patriarchs to go after Luli. Back in the days, Luli had killed many Saint Kings of the Rainbow Race. The reason why the Rainbow Race had suffered such great losses was because their territory was too big and their experts were too scattered. They only had 3 realms. As long as they could protect the main city and the Ray tribe, it didn't matter if the other warriors died or not. Even if all the cities were destroyed, he wouldn't care. He directly flew out of the Southern Cloud world and used his fastest speed to fly towards the South Pole world. Although the 2 realms were next to each other, it would take at least 4 to 5 days to get there. He could only pray that Luli hadn't completely conquered the South Pole city. South Pole City had been under the control of the Ray race for more than 400,000 years. The ancestors of the Ray race were buried there, as well as their ancestral shrine. The biggest treasure trove of the Ray race was also in South Pole City. If South Pole City fell, the Ray race would suffer a great loss. The most important thing was the treasury. The vault contained countless divine weapons and armors the Ray race had forged over the years, as well as many precious treasures, a library of artifact refinement books, rare materials, and so on. Some of the treasures were brought down from the 4th heaven, and some were accumulated over hundreds of thousands of years. If Luli took them away or destroyed them, then the Ray race would suffer a great loss. It would be a devastating blow to the Ray race as well. If the treasures were destroyed, then the Ray race would suffer a great loss. The Ray race could only rely on forging artifacts to trade for resources and treasures. The 3 realms were not rich. It was impossible for the Ray race to rely on the 3 realms to grow stronger. The Ray race would only grow weaker and weaker. In the end, when he died, the Ray race would go extinct. Rare divine materials and refined divine weapons were not important. What was important were the secret manuals of refining weapons and the equipment used for refining weapons. Those were the most important. Many unique materials were passed down from the ancient times. Nobody knew how to make them now. Hang in there. Hang in there. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole murmured to himself. He regretted helping the rainbow race to hunt down Luli for some materials. Now, the Ray race was facing such a disaster. 4.5 days later, Immortal Hermit of the South Pole finally made it back to the city of the South Pole. When he used psychic power to check, he saw something that made him tremble with anger. The huge city of the South Pole had been reduced to ruins. Inside and outside the city, there were refugees. However, these refugees weren't wailing and wailing at this moment. Instead, they were searching everywhere. They turned over the ruins and searched the bodies. They even took off the broken armors from some of the bodies. Those were not refugees. They were here to make money from the dead. They were here to rob. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole used psychic power to check the city north. He was enraged. The city north was where the Ray race lived. Not only was it in ruins, but there were bodies everywhere. There were countless members of the Ray race and many outstanding descendants. At least 4,000 or 5,000 of them had died. The Ray race was an ancient race. Different from the rainbow race, the Ray race had a hard time producing offspring. They never had a large population. 1,000,000 years ago, when they were at their peak, the Ray race only had 800,000. Later on, the Ray race experienced a great change. The number never exceeded 100,000. After coming from the fourth heaven, they only had 1,000 members. After so many years of development, they had reached 20 to 30,000. But now 4,000 or 5,000 of them had died. How could Immortal Hermit of the South Pole not be furious? There were 3 Saint Emperor corpses in the city. 2 of them had been minced into pieces. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole could tell from their robes and tokens. But since the city had been destroyed, the 3 Saint Emperors would definitely not be alive. Die, all of you die. He went crazy. He rushed over and killed the refugees who were digging up the corpses. The refugees inside and outside the city immediately fled in fear. But Immortal Hermit of the South Pole still killed more than half of them. There was not a single member of the Ray race left in the South Pole city. The rest had probably run away. That was why the refugees dared to rob the city. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole chased them for a while before flying back to the Ray race's treasury. This treasury was also in the north of the city. It was under a castle. The entrance was in a very hidden place. There were divine patterns on the entrance. He secretly prayed that it had not been destroyed. Thank goodness, thank goodness. His psychic power locked onto the entrance of the treasury. He let out a breath. Although the castle had been destroyed, the divine patterns on the entrance were still there. Did it mean that the treasury had not been discovered? Or did Luli leave in a hurry, without having the time to search? Whoosh! He arrived at the entrance at once. With a shake of his hand, the stones nearby were shattered. He activated the divine patterns and dashed in. Ah! As soon as he was in, he took a look and let out an earth-shattering roar. There was a hall with a radius of hundreds of miles. The hall was once full of treasures, but now it was empty. Nothing was left. The treasury was not destroyed. When Luli left, the divine patterns were still activated. But all the relic weapons, armors, materials, and books in the treasury had been taken away by Luli. Nothing was left, not even a crystal. Chapter 3281. Plop! Immortal Hermit of the South Pole fell to the ground. His face was covered in tears, shame, and fear. In the ancient times, the Ray race was almost wiped out, but some of them survived and passed down many treasures. The ancestors had fought hard generation after generation. When they were chased down by several ancient clans, the ancestors died in battle one by one in order to protect these treasures passed down by their ancestors. Now, they were all snatched away by him. How could he not feel ashamed and blame himself? Without the treasures, even if the Ray race could survive this disaster, they would be weaker and weaker in the future. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole didn't have much time left. The next generation of Saint Emperors didn't have any promising ones. It was possible that there wouldn't be any more powerful warriors that could reach the complete completion. Now that the treasury was taken away, when Immortal Hermit of the South Pole died, the Ray race would decline rapidly. In less than 1,000 years, the Ray race would be wiped out. What is that? All of a sudden, Immortal Hermit of the South Pole looked to a corner. There was a crystal there. Luli was so kind. How could he leave a crystal behind? A seal stone. Immortal hermit of the South Pole used psychic power to check. His eyes grew cold. There was no seal stone here. Clearly, it was left by Luli. After Luli took away their treasures, he left a seal stone to humiliate Immortal Hermit of the South Pole. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole wanted to smash the seal stone. But eventually, he walked over and picked up the seal stone. After pouring some source energy into it, an image appeared in midair. The image had no voice, but Immortal Hermit of the South Pole could hear what Luli was saying from the shape of his lips. Luli's face was recorded in his original appearance. He was expressionless and didn't seem to be proud of himself. He said, "Immortal Hermit of the South Pole, we meet again. I am sorry that I have killed so many of your people and taken away your treasury. Don't blame me. We had no quarrel. It was you who wanted to help the rainbow race against me. You must have many treasures in your treasury. There seem to be a lot of treasures left behind from ancient times. I believe they must be important to your race. Don't worry." After a pause, Luli continued, "I will not do anything to waste such a precious thing, nor will I destroy your treasures. I want to have a good talk with you. If you are willing to talk, then stay in Antarctica City and wait for me. I will send a martial artist to talk to you later. If things go well, I can return these treasures to you. If you don't want to talk, then leave this city and follow me. I will destroy most of the treasures and sell the rest." And that's all. Luli's expression and tone were very calm, as if he was narrating something insignificant. The content of his words was simple, clear, and sincere. Of course, it was also very firm. If the South Pole, Immortal One, didn't want to talk, then he would definitely destroy most of the treasures. Even if he didn't destroy them, it would probably be difficult for the South Pole Immortal Wong to get them back. HU. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole took a deep breath and began to track down Luli. Since Luli had left such a message, it meant that he was probably not far away. If he could find Luli, he might have a chance to kill Luli and take back all the treasures. A moment later, the old man of the South Pole was visibly moved. His eyes were wide open, and they were filled with disbelief, because he could not sense Luli's chi and energy anymore. It seemed that Luli had disappeared from this world. He was the clan leader of the Ray race and had ancient tracking skills. He had locked onto the source of Luli's soul. Unless Luli had entered a super world left behind by a warrior at the consummate level or died, he would not be able to find Luli. Otherwise, he would have been able to track down Luli. Even when Luli went into the Eye of Destruction, he was able to track him down. There weren't any super realms left by masters at the consummate level nearby. So how could Luli have disappeared into thin air? At this moment, he suddenly remembered that 20 years ago, Luli seemed to have disappeared as well. At that time, he thought Luli was dead, so he left with the patriarch of the rainbow race. This kid must have an extremely powerful heaven-defying escape technique. There were no super realms nearby, so Luli could not have died. Therefore, there was only one explanation. Luli must have some powerful escaping skills that even Luli could not track him down. We're done for. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole sighed helplessly. This time, the Ray race was doomed. They had to wait for Luli to send someone over to negotiate. If they could not reach an agreement, then the Ray race might not be able to recover from this setback and eventually wither away. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole didn't leave the city. If he could not track Luli down, how could he hunt Luli down? If he could not kill Luli, he would not be able to get back the treasures. The only way left for him was to negotiate with Luli. Never mind. If this kid is not going too far, then I will give him whatever he wants, even if I have to give up my life. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole shook his head helplessly. Then, he sent a message for the other Saint Emperors to come back. Since Luli had decided to negotiate, then he would not continue the attack. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole had made his intention clear. Now, all that was left was to wait for Luli's reply. Luli was not at the South Pole region. He was in a nearby universe that did not belong to the Ray race. As soon as he arrived, he went into the realm of magic and waited quietly. He had intended to humiliate the Ray race by attacking the city of the South Pole and make some money. Unexpectedly, he found the treasury of the Ray race. He saw many ancient artifacts, many books, and many treasures for forging artifacts. He had gathered information about the Ray race. Immediately, he understood the importance of this treasury to the Ray race. Therefore, he left a seal stone and changed his strategy to the Ray race. Originally, he wanted to subdue the Ray race so that a mortal hermit of the South Pole wouldn't have the courage to track him or target him anymore. Now that he had this treasury, he believed he could negotiate with the Ray race or even extort a lot of money from them. Of course, he could not negotiate in person. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole was a warrior that was very close to the consummate realm. Luli was not a match for one yet. He could run away, but it was too risky. Therefore, as soon as he snuck into this universe, he contacted a branch of the Grim Reaper and then went into the realm of magic to wait. This wait lasted for 3 months. Finally, the runes outside were triggered. Luli used psychic power to check and saw 2 familiar faces. He grinned and dashed out. One of them was Yu Yang, and the other was Emperor Yin. Luli asked a warrior of the Grim Reaper's branch to invite them over. When they arrived, they didn't see any trace of Lu Li. While they were wondering, Lu Li's sudden appearance startled them. Yu Yang was fine because he knew Lu Li had super stealth skill. Emperor Yin, on the other hand, gave Lu Li a meaningful look and put on a strange smile. Good job. Yu Yang walked over, punched Lu Li, and said, I knew you would not die. You didn't disappoint me. Ha ha ha. Emperor Yin walked over as well. He looked Lu Li up and down and nodded. Lu, congratulations. Not only did you escape death, but you also benefited from misfortune. You have grown stronger. Yang, you must work harder. The gap between you and Lu Li is getting wider and wider. I have a feeling that if Lu Li were to sneak up on me now, he could kill me in an instant. What? Yu Yang turned pale with fright. He looked at Lu Li in disbelief. Emperor Yin was not very close to the consummate realm, but he was only half a step away. How come Lu Li had made such great progress? P.S. 4 chapters for the next 3 days. Smiley face, smiley face. Chapter 3282. Emperor Yin was strong, and he was a top-level assassin. Emperor Yin's senses were strong. Though he did not know exactly how strong Lu Li was, Emperor Yin could tell that Lu Li was intimidating. If Lu Li were to sneak up on him, Emperor Yin would not be able to defend himself. Lu Li didn't explain. Emperor Yin gave him a sense of danger as well. If Emperor Yin were to sneak up on him, then Lu Li would die as well. If they were to fight face to face, it would be hard to say who would win. Looking at Yu Yang, Lu Li said, Brother Yu, please send a message back to my family. Of course, you must keep it a secret. Don't tell anyone except my family. Okay, I will arrange it later. Yu Yang nodded. Lu Li turned to Emperor Yin and asked, Emperor Yin, do you know anything about the Ray race? Yes. Emperor Yin nodded. After all, the Ray race was one of the best tracking races in ancient times. How can we not pay attention to them? We have a complete collection of information about the Ray race. Yes, I attacked their city of the South Pole 3 months ago. Lu Li handed over an interspatial ring and said, They have a treasury with many treasures for forging artifacts. They must be very important to the Ray race. So, I gave him a seal stone and told him not to leave the city of the South Pole if he is willing to negotiate. According to the scouts I left behind, Immortal Hermit of the South Pole wants to negotiate. Oh, Emperor Yan's eyes glowed. He took over the interspatial ring, and his eyes glowed again. After a careful look, he said, You mean, I will negotiate for you? Yes. Lu Li nodded. I only ask for one thing. He must not go against me in the future. As for the other conditions, you can make them up. What? Emperor Yin was surprised. He lowered his head and thought about it again. Then, he said with excitement, Lu Li, you have made a great contribution this time. Previously, a powerful warrior of ours came and wanted to recruit the Ray race, but Immortal Hermit of the South Pole refused. Now, with these things, I don't think it will be a problem to take down the Ray race. As long as the Ray race joins the God of Death, they will not go against you. Ha ha. Luli said with a smile. You will have to work out what we can get. Anyway, I just want them to stay away from us. Their tracking skills are amazing. All right, Emperor Yin put away the interspatial ring, patted Lu Li's shoulder, and said, Leave it to us. Either way, I promise you that the immortal hermit of the South Pole will not make an enemy out of you. Thank you, Emperor Yin. Lu Li smiled with satisfaction. Then, he took out an interspatial artifact. Naturally, these interspatial rings and interspatial artifacts were obtained from killing powerful warriors. Lu Li had hundreds of billions of celestial stones with him. He had killed many saint kings. Robbing was always the fastest way to plunder wealth. Every saint sovereign would have plenty of celestial stones and treasures on them. Killing a few of them might not be a sudden windfall, but at least they wouldn't lack celestial stones for a short period of time. Lu Li handed over the interspatial artifact. Emperor Yin took a look and was delighted again. Lu Li, you have made another contribution. A powerful warrior likes this insect very much. He has been looking for it for a long time. If you send him tens of millions of insects, that giant will definitely be overjoyed. What are these insects used for? Lu Li asked in confusion. These bugs don't seem to be very aggressive, nor do they have any special abilities. To make pellets, Emperor Yin explained, these insects contain a lot of energy of destruction. There's also a strange energy that can be used to make a miraculous pellet. It will be of great help to Saint Kings in their cultivation. I see. Lu Li took out another interspatial artifact and said, Then you can have all the insects. I have no use for them anyway. In total, Lu Li had caught more than 100 million insects. He had planned to keep half of them, thinking that the worms of the void could be used to attack. Now that he heard that they were used for pellets, he didn't want to keep them. So many? Emperor Yin was taken aback. That giant warrior would be overjoyed to have so many insects. Emperor Yin would be rewarded as well. Emperor Yin looked at Lu Li with gentler eyes. He didn't say anything pretentious. He nodded and said, Then, Lu Li, will you go back with Yangyu? No. Lu Li shook his head and said, Now that a mortal hermit of the South Pole is done, I will be safe. I want to go to the fairy rainbow universe again and defeat the rainbow race. I want them to admit defeat, and then they will ask for peace. Emperor Yin and Yu Yang looked at each other helplessly. How could Lu Li be so vengeful? The rainbow race had suffered a great loss recently. They had been sealed off. How could Lu Li not give up? Did he have to destroy the rainbow race? Yang Yu couldn't help but say, Lu Li, let it go. After all, they have 3 powerful warriors that are very close to the consummate realm. Even a rabbit will bite when it is cornered. If you push the rainbow race too far, what if they want to die together with you? They don't have that ability. Lu Li smiled mysteriously and said, Don't worry, Yang Yu. I have learned a skill from the Eye of Destruction. Now, apart from a small number of powerful warriors that are very close to the consummate realm, I don't think the other warriors can track me down. With that said, Lu Li suddenly disappeared on the spot without a trace. Yu Yang probed and curled his lips, but Emperor Yin revealed a strange expression. He closed his eyes and sensed carefully before nodding and saying, It is indeed a miraculous technique. Little brat Lu is really born to kill the death god. Buzzing, Lu Li came out again. Emperor Yin took out a token and said, Take my token. You can mobilize all the warriors of death nearby. It doesn't matter if you're exposed. Yu Yang was startled. Emperor Yan's words contained many deeper meanings. Originally, the god of death would not get involved in the matter between Lu Li and the rainbow race, at least not on the surface. Otherwise, the Hu race would have something on him. Now, Emperor Yin had given Lu Li the right to mobilize the nearby gods of death. Once Lu Li used the gods of death, it would be a declaration of war between the god of death and the rainbow race. If things got out of hand, the Hu race behind the rainbow race would not let it go. In that case, the Hu race and the god of death might go to war. Lu Li didn't take the token. He could tell that Emperor Yin valued him more than before. In other words, Lu Li was worthy enough for the god of death to take some pressure for him, even if it was the pressure of fighting the Hu race. Lu Li wouldn't act arrogantly when others valued him. he said with a smile. Thank you, Emperor Yin. But I think I can handle it. I don't want to add more trouble to the god of death. Take it. It's up to you whether you want to use it or not. Emperor Yin threw the token to Lu Li, waved his hand, and said, I have to go now. I need to report this to my superior. I will try to make a deal in a month. Lu Li, take care of yourself. Come back when you are done. Your family misses you. Emperor Yin left. Lu Li chatted with Yan Yu for a while before he left on his own. Now that he had resolved his worries, he could wholeheartedly focus on the battle. This time, he swore that he would not rest until he destroyed the rainbow race. End of this chapter. Chapter 3283. Half a month later, the city of South Pole had been partially repaired. Some of the undamaged castles were repaired, and people could live in them now. Some of the Ray race warriors and powerful warriors had come. Many warriors had been mobilized to repair the city of South Pole. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole never came out. He stayed in a castle. None of the Ray race warriors and warriors dared to disturb him. Anyone that dared to disturb him would end up in a miserable state. Today, a strange guest came to the city of South Pole. This guest was covered in a strange robe. Others could not see his face. He stood outside the city of South Pole. His abilities could not be sensed, but all the Ray race warriors sensed danger. Whoosh, 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 teams of warriors flew up. Several Saint Emperors flew up as well. They looked at this strange guest with hostility. But no warrior dared to do anything because Immortal Hermit of the South Pole had given his order. Let him in. An old and weak voice came. It was Immortal Hermit of the South Pole. The black-robed man walked in slowly, ignoring the murderous warriors and the hostile warriors. The black-robed man walked into Immortal Hermit of the South Pole's castle. The door opened and then closed quietly. It was as if the black-robed man was swallowed by a huge beast. It was dim in the hall. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole was the only one here. There was no tea or even a seat. The black-robed man did not mind. He walked into the hall and stood in the middle, looking at Immortal Hermit of the South Pole. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole said nothing. He stared at the black-robed man coldly, like a viper. After a while, he said, Where's Lu Li? Why didn't he come in person? Is he afraid that I will kill him? You are a Saint Emperor, and you are quite strong. Lu Li doesn't know many powerful warriors. So, you must be from the Grim Reaper, right? You are right. The black-robed man pulled down his cloak. It was Emperor Yin. He said emotionlessly, I am Deni. You must have heard of me. I am one of the patriarchs of law enforcement of the Grim Reaper. I am very powerful, and I am only half a step away from the ultimate realm. South Pole Immortal Hermit sneered and said, You are one of the representatives of the Grim Reaper. I don't think there are many elites in the chaotic starfields who don't know you. Yin Emperor, you're really gutsy to dare come alone. Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you in a fit of rage? Of course not. Yin Emperor smiled and said, If Immortal One wants the Ray race to die with me, then I don't mind. Since Immortal Elder wants to talk, he won't act recklessly, right? Immortal Hermit of the South Pole asked expressionlessly, Then are you here on behalf of Lu Li or the Grim Reaper? He represents both Lu Li and the Grim Reaper. Emperor Yin went straight to the point. Immortal Wang, even without Lu Li, your Ray race isn't having a good time, is it? You don't have much lifespan left, but the next generation doesn't have an expert who can carry the flag. Once you're gone, the enemies of your skate clan will come looking for you. When that time comes, your skate clan will only have one ending, and that is to be annihilated. The South Pole Immortal Wang's face did not change at all. He said coldly, You don't need to worry. We will take care of our own business. You can't, Emperor Yin said sincerely. This time, I am here on behalf of the Grim Reaper's headquarters. I have been authorized by several leaders. I am not here to negotiate, but to sincerely invite the Ray race to join the Grim Reaper. This is our offer. Please take a look. If you join us, then the misunderstanding with Lu Li will naturally be resolved. Emperor Yan's meaning was clear. As long as the Ray race agreed to join the Grim Reaper, the treasury that Lu Li took away would naturally be returned. Immortal Elder of the South Pole said nothing. He squinted with a hint of pain in his eyes. In fact, one of the leaders of the Grim Reaper, had come to him before. At that time, the offer was also very generous, but he refused without any consideration. The Ray race was an ancient race. How could they join another force and become an appendage? Even though the Grim Reaper had promised to give him a position of leader, that was someone else's territory after all. How could the Ray race have any say there? If they joined the Grim Reaper, Immortal Elder of the South Pole was afraid that the Ray race would be swallowed up and gradually divided. In the end, they could only become the Grim Reaper's fighters. Emperor Yin handed over the agreement. Immortal Elder of the South Pole had no choice but to take it. He flipped through the agreement. It was as he had expected. They were given several universes, and the Ray race would still live together. The Ray race was free to fight. Unless something serious happened, the Grim Reaper would not force the Ray race to go on missions. Every year, the Grim Reaper would provide resources to the Ray race and so on. The terms were good, and they were good for the Ray race. But the Ray race had no obligation. They had to protect the Ray race and give them territory, celestial stones, and resources. The Ray race would lose their freedom and independence. This time, the Grim Reaper also gave Immortal Elder of the South Pole the right to be a leader, but this position could not be passed on. That was to say, if Immortal Elder of the South Pole died, he would lose this right. If the descendants of Immortal Elder of the South Pole wanted to fight for the position, not only would they have to be powerful, but they would also have to gain the consent of the other leaders. Immortal Elder of the South Pole said nothing. The terms of the Grim Reaper were generous, but he felt humiliated. It was as if he had signed an alliance. He believed that the leaders of the Grim Reaper looked down on him. The Ray race joining the Grim Reaper would not be as beneficial as the last time. Last time, he was invited, which was like adding wings to a tiger. This time, he was forced to go. He had recruited a group of fighters, a sword in the hand of the Grim Reaper. The problem was, what should Immortal Elder of the South Pole do? The appearance of the Yin Emperor represented the attitude of the Grim Reaper and also meant that the Grim Reaper was showing his fangs. If he did not agree, not only would the treasures in the treasury be gone, but Luli could also continue to kill the Ray race clansmen and experts one by one until he was the only one left. I shouldn't have gone to the Immortal Rainbow Domain. I regret it so much. Immortal Elder of the South Pole sighed. He looked up at the Yin Emperor and said, "Can I make a request? This old man wants a head." The Yin Emperor's expression did not change. He did not hesitate for long and said directly, "No. The first rule of the Grim Reaper is not to kill people of the same sect. We, the Grim Reapers, will never betray our own people. We won't even kill the Hor race, let alone the Ray race. This is the foundation of the Grim Reapers." Immortal Hermit of the South Pole clearly wanted Luli dead. This was the only way the Ray race could be saved from death. As long as Luli was alive, the Ray race would not be able to hold their heads high. Emperor Yin dissuaded him. Even in the past, Emperor Yin would not sacrifice Luli for the sake of the Ray race. Not to mention that Luli was very important to the god of death now. Whoosh, whoosh, the South Pole Immortal One sighed and said powerlessly, "Give me 1 day. I'll discuss this with the elders. I look forward to your joining." After Emperor Yin left, the South Pole Immortal One gathered all the Grand Elders and held meeting. After discussing for 8 to 10 hours, the South Pole Immortal One personally came out and announced the result. From this day forth, the Ray tribe would officially join the god of death and become a part of it. End of chapter. Chapter 3284. 10 days later, the god of death and the Ray race made an announcement at the same time. From that day on, the Ray race would join the god of death and become an important part of it. The entire Chaotic Star region was in an uproar when the news spread out. As a matter of fact, apart from some major races, many didn't know about the Ray race. They might have heard of Immortal Hermit of the South Pole, but didn't know he was a member of the Ray race. But when the name of the Ray race was made public, it caused a sensation. After all, the Ray race used to be famous. Many warriors had thought that the Ray race had been wiped out. Little did they know that they were still alive and hiding in the Chaotic Star region. Because of Luli, the god of death became famous. Now that the Ray race had joined the god of death's reputation had reached a new peak. After all, the god of death was a member of an ancient super race. More importantly, the god of death was good at tracking. With the alliance, the god of death would be even more powerful. The Who race was the most shocked. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole had joined the god of death. Immortal Hermit of the South Pole had just helped to hunt down Lu Li. How could he join the Who race all of a sudden? Was this the revenge of the god of death? Did the god of death send out a powerful warrior to suppress the Ray race? But they didn't hear the Ray race asking for help. The Who race sensed something fishy. They felt something was off. They sent out a large number of scouts to gather information. They learned that Lu Li had attacked the South Pole region. But the Who race didn't think it was Lu Li. They thought the god of death had sent out a powerful warrior to force the Ray race to surrender. The Ray race had migrated. The three universes here had given up. There was nothing the Who race could do even if they wanted to. As a matter of fact, the Who race was interested in the Ray race. If the Ray race could become their dependent force like the Rainbow race, then the Who race would be greatly strengthened. After all, with warriors of the Ray race, they didn't have to worry about intelligence. But Immortal Hermit of the South Pole turned them down. Little did they know that the god of death had taken them away. By the time the news spread, Lu Li had arrived at a universe near the Rainbow race. He had nothing to worry about after he got the news. He could take a gamble. He investigated the situation of the Rainbow race again. Originally, the Rainbow race controlled dozens of domains in the open and in the dark. Now, there were only 9 domains left. The 9 realms were all sealed, and all the entrances and exits were sealed by powerful divine runes, making it impossible to enter or exit. However, they could freely teleport within the realms. Lu Li collected information for several days. He decided to start with the one furthest away from the Rainbow race. After that, he would hide in the neighboring universe and wait for the Rainbow race to come to his rescue. Then, he would move on to other universes. He easily snuck over and released Blood Fairy. He sent Blood Fairy to decipher the runes. At this moment, he somewhat missed the Thunder Melee beast. He had circled around the Eye of Destruction for so long, but he didn't find the Thunder Melee beast or its skeleton. It seemed like the Thunder Melee beast skeleton might not even be left. The seals here were strong, but Blood Fairy did not feel any pressure. In less than an hour, the seals were solved. Then, Lu Li snuck in. He wasn't in a hurry to act. Instead, he began to explore the interface. Even though the interface was sealed, there were still many warriors in the cities. Even though the interface was sealed, the universes under the control of the Rainbow race were all connected. Therefore, warriors here could move around the 9 universes freely. This was not a real seal. Lu Li checked around the cities. He was sure that there were not many Saint Kings here. The Rainbow race had only stationed 10 Saint Kings in this universe. 7 of them were in the major cities, and the other 3 were in the locations of resources. Lu Li took action when he had a clear idea. First, he attacked a location of resources and killed the Saint Kings here. The remaining warriors had no chance to leave. He killed them one by one. None of the 5,000 warriors were left alive. All the resources in the treasury were taken away by Lu Li. Then, Lu Li smashed the mountain with his hand silhouette. Move! Lu Li snuck toward the major city of this universe. Since all the warriors there had been killed, there was no news. It would take 7 or 8 days for the major city to receive the news. Lu Li was fast. In 3 days, he had arrived near the major city. Then, he hid and waited quietly. As he had expected, 5 days later, a team of warriors came. After the time for one incense stick to burn, several Saint Kings in the city flew up, followed by tens of thousands of warriors. There were 7 Saint Kings in the city. 4 had left, so there were 3. Lu Li calmed down a bit. He was not in a hurry to take action. He waited for a day and then went into the city. The city was not protected, but the security was tightened. For Lu Li, it was pointless for the Saint Kings to check with psychic power, even if the city walls were filled with warriors. If he wanted to go in, nobody could stop him, not even if the divine pattern formation was activated. Lu Li targeted a super teleportation altar in the city and slapped at it. A hand appeared, and the altar exploded. Whoosh! Luli didn't care about the other warriors. He dashed toward the north of the city. He released his Dharma form and smashed at a castle. How dare you? Who are you? Do you know where you are? Are you courting death? How dare you go against a rainbow race? You're too bold. The three Saint Kings bellowed and dashed up. Luli didn't care and kept on smashing at the castle. He knew very well that there was another teleportation altar in the castle, which should be connected to the deity Rainbow Universe. Therefore, it must be destroyed. Charge! The Saint Emperors all made their moves. Luli's body glowed as he released his bloodline skill, Dragon Transformation. Dragon scales appeared on his body. Wings and a dragon tail grew on his back. Dragon horns grew on his head, and his hands turned into dragon claws. Several attacks landed on him, and he was smashed away for thousands of feet. He is Luli. Luli? Isn't Luli dead? How did he come out from the eye of destruction? How? How come his defense is so strong? He is not hurt. The three Saint Kings shouted. 20 years ago, Luli attacked the rainbow race, and he used dragon transformation many times. Therefore, it was easy to tell. But back then, Luli seemed to be hurt. Now, apart from some scales falling off, he was fine. Whoosh! Luli turned into a blur and charged over in an instant. He arrived beside the strongest Saint King and reached out with his claws. He was so fast that the Saint King could not dodge and had to fight back. Boom! That Saint King swung a huge saber at Luli's claws. Dark smoke came out from Luli's hand as he reached for the saber. Crack, crack, crack! What happened next made the three Saint Kings pale with fright. The saber was actually crushed by Luli's claws, and the saint weapon actually exploded into pieces. Luli's claws continued forward and easily grabbed the Saint King's head. Boom! The Saint King's head was crushed, and he was killed by Luli. A helmet appeared on the Saint King's head, but it did not survive Luli's attack. Run! Chapter 3285. Although the two remaining Saint Kings fled as soon as possible, they were unable to escape from Luli's demonic claws. Luli was just too fast. After using the dragon transformation, he was as fast as an expert at the absolute peak. How could the two Saint Kings escape? However, the last Saint King crushed a jade talisman to warn the leader of the rainbow race. Although the rainbow race did not know what had happened, they at least knew that something big had happened here. In reality, the rainbow race would know very soon even if he didn't warn them. They would know that the teleportation altar had been destroyed immediately. Moreover, the death of three Saint Kings would make them suspicious as well. Something big must have happened if Saint Kings could be killed. After killing the two Saint Emperors, Luli began to purge the city. However, he did not kill the innocent. He only killed the members of the rainbow race. There were more than 100,000 of them in the city. Some escaped, and Luli killed about 50,000. All the residents in the city had fled. The city had been leveled to the ground by Luli. Even the foundation was destroyed. The entire city had become a pit. It was completely ruined. Luli did not leave immediately after destroying the city. Instead, he entered the Dharma realm near the city and waited quietly. He wanted to surround the city and attack the reinforcements. He wanted to wait for the Saint Kings to return. He wanted to kill most of the Saint Kings in this realm and make the rainbow race feel pain. As expected, half a day later, the four Saint Kings flew back furiously. Seeing that the city had been reduced to ruins, the Saint Kings were furious. One of the Saint Kings even roared out with a murderous aura. Swish! At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in the sky. It was a dragon man. He charged out like a ghost and reached one of the Saint Kings. Afterward, the Saint King turned into a bloody mist and was torn apart by Luli. Luli? The remaining three Saint Kings paled in fright and attacked Luli in a frenzy. However, Luli charged over without fear. One of the three Saint Kings was at the mid-Saint King and the other two at the early Saint King. They posed no pressure to Luli. As long as they were not late Saint Kings or mid-Saint Kings with especially ferocious attacks, Luli did not care. Even if they injured him, it could not kill him. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, the 4 Saint Kings were dead. Dozens of scales fell off from Lu Li's body, and one of his ribs was broken. This kind of injury was nothing to him. He could easily recover from it. What was more, Lu Li's wounds were healing fast. All he needed to do was to go into the Dharma realm and absorb some energy and some liquid of perdition. He still didn't leave and continued to attack the other resources. The teleportation altar here had been destroyed by him, so the experts of the rainbow race would need at least 7 to 8 days to arrive. Therefore, he wasn't worried at all. Lu Li was not anxious, but the immortal rainbow world was anxious to death. The teleportation altar was destroyed, and several life jade talismans were shattered. This meant that something big had happened in that realm. The 3 supreme experts of the rainbow race were all in seclusion, and all the elders were gathered together. The 3 elders went to inform the 3 supreme experts, but there was no news for a few days. Half a day later, the space fluctuated slightly. Then, the leader of the rainbow race appeared in the hall. He glanced around coldly and asked, "What happened?" A patriarch in charge of intelligence bowed and said, "Clan leader, something big has happened at the immortal isolated universe. 2 teleportation altars have been destroyed. 8 of the patriarch's jade talismans of life have been destroyed. According to the information we received, a mysterious expert appeared over there and destroyed the main city there." 8 Grand Elders? The clan leader of the rainbow race was taken aback. The rainbow race was not the same as it used to be. Before the war with Lu Li, the rainbow race had over 300 Saint Kings, and dozens of them were killed by Lu Li. Later, nearly 100 were killed by the assassin organizations. Now, the rainbow race only had over 100 Saint Kings. Now, 8 of them have been lost. How could the clan leader of the rainbow race not feel sorry? Whoosh! The clan leader of the rainbow race did not waste any time. He dashed into the back mountain and woke up the 2 patriarchs. Not long afterward, the 2 patriarchs brought dozens of Saint Kings to the teleportation altar. They were teleported to the nearest universe and then flew over as fast as they could. Even so, it would take them at least 7 days to get there. By the time they arrived, Lu Li would have been gone. All the Saint Kings in that universe had been killed. Many armies and warriors of the rainbow race were killed as well. Hundreds of thousands of warriors have been killed or injured. The chief patriarch of the rainbow race was hopping mad. When he learned about the details of the battle from the warriors here, he trembled. The other Saint Kings turned pale as well. Their eyes were filled with fear. Lu Li was not dead. Lu Li had come back for revenge. More than 20 years ago, Lu Li had turned the entire rainbow race upside down. He had killed countless rainbow race warriors and destroyed the immortal Rainbow Mountain. He had humiliated the rainbow race. Lu Li had entered the Eye of Destruction and stayed there for more than 20 years. How could he come out? Immortal Hermit of the South Pole had said that Lu Li was dead. What was going on? No matter what, the powerful warriors of the rainbow race sensed trouble, big trouble. According to eyewitnesses, Lu Li could kill a Saint King in one move. He was so powerful that even the most powerful patriarch of the later stage of the Saint King realm was torn apart by him. Even his saint weapon was crushed. Is he very close to the level of the consummate realm? This thought appeared in many saint emperors' minds, and they immediately felt a chill run down their spines. If Lu Li had really reached this level, then it would be the end of the rainbow race. Lu Li's stealth skills were unparalleled. At least, the rainbow race could not do anything to him. If Lu Li's abilities were enhanced, then apart from the 3 patriarchs, all the other Saint Kings of the rainbow race would be in danger. If Lu Li continued to kill like this, the rainbow race would be wiped out by him alone. Buzzing, right at that moment, a jade talisman in the chief patriarch's hand cracked. His expression changed again. He and the leader of the rainbow race had agreed on a secret signal. If this jade talisman was broken, it meant that the other universe was under attack. Lu Li went to another universe and began his bloody slaughter. "Let's go." Chief Patriarch waved his hand. The other patriarchs thought that Chief Patriarch was going to go after Lu Li. Unexpectedly, he flew out of the void. One of the patriarchs asked, "Chief Patriarch, where are we going?" "Back to the immortal rainbow domain." Chief Patriarch said with certainty, "We are not the only ones going back. All the powerful warriors and people of the other universes have to go back as well. We will defend the immortal rainbow domain with our lives. We cannot split up anymore. If not, Luli will kill us one by one. Defend the immortal rainbow domain with our lives?" The Saint King's expressions darkened. Since when did the rainbow race fall to such a state? They had to abandon all the universes because of a martial artist and hide in the fairy dragon city, not daring to go out? Second brother, after they flew out of the void, Chief Patriarch suddenly stopped. He frowned and thought for a moment. "Bring them back. I will go to the Who race. We must ask the Who race for help this time. If not, it will be the end of the rainbow race." End of this chapter. Chapter 3286. The second universe was under attack. Once again, Luli had breached the city. After the battle at the lone immortal universe, Luli was confident of his abilities. He believed he was invincible when he was very close to the complete realm. No amount of Saint Kings could kill him. The worst that could happen was that they could injure him. Luli also noticed another advantage of this remolded body, which was fast recovery. Maybe this body was born from the energy of destruction and Xian-Chi in heaven and earth. Therefore, whenever Luli was injured, he could absorb some energy and divine liquid of destruction to recover quickly. Luli fought against the 8 Saint Kings of the rainbow race on his own. In the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, he had torn apart the 8 Saint Kings with ease. His injuries were neither serious nor light, but he recovered in the time for half an incense stick to burn. Luli snuck away to find his next target. 10 days later, he entered the third universe. He went around, but did not find his target. There were no Saint Kings in this universe, and there were few of the rainbow race. The rainbow race had begun to retreat. All the powerful warriors and people of the rainbow race had retreated to the deity rainbow universe and gathered in the fairy dragon city. Many tents were set up outside the city, filled with the rainbow race. Retreat and defend. This was the strategy decided by the chief patriarch of the rainbow race. The rainbow race master approved of this strategy. The other patriarchs said nothing. It was a strategy, but there was no other way. In other words, this was the only way the rainbow race could go. If they did not stay together, Luli would kill them one by one. The rainbow race could not do anything to Luli. The 3 most powerful warriors of the rainbow race could not find Luli. They could not kill him. Luli had mysterious abilities that the rainbow race could not break. They had to ask for help from the Who race or immortal hermit of the South Pole. How could they kill Luli when they could not even find him? This was humiliating. A large number of the rainbow race gathered at the fairy dragon city. All of them felt humiliated, aggrieved, and humiliated. The rainbow race was not the most powerful in the chaotic universe, but it was a super race. The rainbow race had been in the chaotic universe for hundreds of thousands of years, and they had never been in such a situation, not to mention being forced into such a state by a warrior. This was just a trump card of death, a very young one at that. It was said that he was only at the great emperor realm. He was the laughingstock of the world. Fortunately, the rainbow race had sealed off their territory. What happened here had not spread. Otherwise, the rainbow race would have become the laughingstock of the chaotic star sectors again. Luli wandered around the nearby universes and made sure that the rainbow race had retreated back to the immortal rainbow universe. Then, he left the area and flew towards the immortal rainbow universe. Without the immortal hermit of the South Pole, Luli would not be afraid, even if there were a few more powerful warriors who were infinitely close to the consummate realm. After all, he would not be in danger if they could not find him. On the other side, the Grand Elder of the Rainbow Race had already arrived at the Who race and met the Who race king. He told them about Luli and then asked for reinforcements from the Who race. If the Who race did not come, then the Rainbow Race would not be able to survive this disaster. After hearing this, the Who tribe leader did not reply immediately. Instead, he said that he needed to discuss it with the elders of the Who tribe. He did summon the elders of the Who clan for a discussion, but they were all silent. In the past, the Who race wouldn't have hesitated at all. After all, the Rainbow Race was the Who race's underling. If their underlings were in trouble, they would definitely help them. Otherwise, how could these underlings follow them in the future? But this time, things were different. Last time, the Hu race sent two warriors who were infinitely close to the consummate realm. They had a better understanding of Lu Li's abilities and, more importantly, Lu Li's mysterious art of hiding. The warriors of the Hu race who were infinitely close to the consummate realm were certain that they could not find Lu Li. If so, then they could not kill him unless they could ask Immortal Hermit of the South Pole for help. The problem was that Immortal Hermit of the South Pole had turned to death. According to the information gathered by the Hu race, there were other strange races in the Chaotic Star region that had tracking skills, but they could not find Lu Li unless they sent out a large number of warriors infinitely close to the consummate realm and tried their luck to find Lu Li. Or they could set up a trap for Lu Li to sneak into it. However, once they made Lu Li their enemy, they would infuriate the mad dog Lu Li. When Lu Li was enraged, he would seek revenge. Lu Li's desire for revenge was unquestionable. It had been more than 20 years, and the rainbow race had been in such a miserable state. As soon as Lu Li came out, he would seek revenge. Therefore, when Lu Li was enraged, he would seek revenge. By then, the Hu race would suffer the same fate as the rainbow race. Was it worth it? There was another matter. More than 20 years ago, Death offended a super race, but the matter had been settled. Death had taken down the Ray race recently, and he was at the peak of his power at the moment. What if Death decided to take action? Would the Amber tribe be able to withstand the Grim Reaper's powerful attacks? The meeting lasted for half a day. There were all kinds of analyses and speculations. In the end, the Hu race decided to intervene. They could not ignore the Hu race. Otherwise, not only the rainbow race would be bitterly disappointed, but so would the other races. Why would a follower follow the boss when the boss didn't care about the follower? That being said, it did not mean that the Hu race would intervene directly. The Hu race was ready to negotiate. After all, the matter hadn't been spread out yet. When the negotiation was done and Lu Li left, the rainbow race would survive and the Hu race would be able to maintain their authority. There was another problem. Who should they go to for the negotiation? How could they find Lu Li? Send out a signal? Lu Li might not come. After all, it might be a trap. Then they would have to go to Death. After all, Lu Li was on Death's side. If Death agreed to make peace, Lu Li wouldn't be so stubborn. The master of the Hu race discussed with the chief patriarch of the rainbow race. The latter agreed. He was here to solve the problem. As long as he could do it, the means didn't matter. One of the chief patriarchs of the Hu race went to contact warriors from the branch of Death. There was a branch in the main city of the Hu race. Soon, they were contacted, but the clan leader of the branch could not make the decision. The matter had to be reported. The news was sent to the headquarters of Death, which attached great importance to the matter. 3 powerful warriors came in person and gathered many patriarchs for a discussion. The result of the discussion was that they agreed to negotiate. After all, the fact that the Hu race had taken the initiative to negotiate was a great honor for the Death. They were bowing to Death on behalf of a super race. Death would not let go of such an opportunity to blackmail them. Of course, Lu Li's consent was required. One of the leaders of Death told Emperor Yin to contact Lu Li to express the intention to reconcile and to see what Lu Li wanted. This kid is quite good at stirring up trouble. The key is that he succeeded. Emperor Yin exclaimed when he received the order. He was the one who brought Lu Li to the Death and asked him to carry out a mission. After completing the last quest, Lu Li joined the Grim Reaper. Lu Li was only at the Emperor realm, but he had become their trump card. How many years had it been? Lu Li's abilities were similar to Emperor Yan's. More importantly, Lu Li had forced 2 major races to yield. Not even a powerful warrior could do it better than Lu Li, let alone Emperor Yan. Yes, yes. Chapter 3287. Reconciliation. In a major city of heaven near the Immortal Rainbow region, Lu Li met Emperor Yan, who had come from afar. Lu Li was taken aback when he heard the purpose of Emperor Yan's visit. He was about to destroy the cities in the Immortal Rainbow region when he received a message from the God of Death. Emperor Yan wanted to see him. One of the best scouts of the God of Death found Lu Li. He must have found Lu Li through the token given by Emperor Yin. Lu Li hurried to a nearby region. Emperor Yin told him that the god of death had decided to reconcile with the rainbow race and asked for Lu Li's opinion. Lu Li was taken aback. He had been thinking about how to wipe out the rainbow race. Never had he thought about reconciling with the god of death. Subconsciously, he believed that the rainbow race would never reconcile with him, let alone compromise. He didn't expect that the rainbow race would give in so quickly. He hadn't even started the killing yet. Emperor Yin asked with a frown, "You don't want to reconcile? If not, I will report to my superiors. I don't think they will force you." No. Lu Li waved his hand. "I am willing to reconcile. I will carry out the orders of my superiors." Lu Li just didn't understand. What was his purpose in attacking the rainbow race? To protect his family, his people, and himself. He was never one to stir up trouble. If others didn't provoke him, he wouldn't provoke them. The rainbow race was a threat to his life. They wanted to wipe out his family. He had to take the initiative. Now that the rainbow race wanted to reconcile with him, it meant that the rainbow race and the Hu race would no longer be a threat to him. If so, why should he go on? Killing people of the rainbow race would not bring him pleasure. Emperor Yin looked at Lu Li with approval and said, "Then what do you want? As long as it is not too much, I think my superiors will satisfy you. You have done a great service again. I don't have any demands." Lu Li shook his head and said, "Only one thing. From now on, the Hu race and the rainbow race cannot go against me or assassinate my people. Otherwise, the reconciliation will fail. I will keep on killing the rainbow race until the rainbow race is wiped out." "Don't worry." Emperor Yin nodded with certainty. "As long as you can reconcile, this will not happen. I promise you in the name of the god of death. If such a thing happens, the Grim Reaper will fight for you." Lu Li was relieved. He nodded and said, "Okay, go ahead. I will stay here for a couple of months. If things go well on your side, I will go back to the Tianyua city." "All right, wait for my good news." Emperor Yin left. Lu Li left the city as well. He missed his family and friends very much. But soon, the matter would come to an end. A few more months would not make a difference. It was a negotiation. How long could it take for both sides to sit at the table? If too much time passed, the rainbow race would suffer a bit, and the negotiations would naturally be much faster. Emperor Yin personally went to the main city of the Hu race on behalf of the Grim Reaper. The Grand Elder of the Rainbow Race was there as well. The Rainbow Race King authorized him to represent the Rainbow Race in the negotiations. If someone took the initiative to poke their head over, the Yin Emperor wouldn't be the Grim Reaper if it didn't slash them. Both the Grim Reaper and Lu Li had delegated the power to the Yin Emperor. Therefore, the Yin Emperor demanded an exorbitant price and listed more than a dozen conditions. For example, Lu Li demanded that the Yin Emperor would not attack Lu Li or his people, that the Yin Emperor would pay 10 trillion celestial stones, that the Hu race and the Rainbow race would declare publicly that they would never be enemies with the Grim Reaper, and that the Hu race and the Rainbow race would be compensated with some top-level resources and treasures. The Hu race and the Rainbow race did know that the Grim Reaper would extort them, but they didn't expect it to be this. Outrageous. This was not extortion, but robbery. Naturally, the Hu race and the Rainbow race would not agree. They could negotiate, but they could not make any concessions. For example, there was one condition where the Hu race and the Rainbow race would declare publicly that they would never be enemies with the Grim Reaper. Wouldn't that be telling the Hu race and the Rainbow race that they were afraid of the Grim Reaper? A Grand Elder of the Hu race left in a huff. The Rainbow race's Chief Elder left in a huff as well. Emperor Yin, on the other hand, stayed at ease. He believed that the Grand Elders of the Hu race and the Rainbow race would come in a few days. The negotiations would continue. As he had expected, 3 days later, the Grand Elders of the Hu race and the Rainbow race came. They brought with them an agreement. The agreement was simple, and there were only 2 conditions. The Grim Reaper, the Hu race, and the Rainbow race agreed not to attack each other. If they broke the agreement, they would have to pay hundreds of trillion celestial stones. The second condition was that the Rainbow race would give Lu Li 1 trillion celestial stones in secret. But Lu Li must make a public statement to apologize to the Rainbow race. Emperor Yin snorted when he saw the contract. He didn't say anything. He stood up and said, "Okay, I will convey your opinions to Lu Li. I am just a representative. If Lu Li agrees, then I will be okay with it." Emperor Yin left and gave the contract to Lu Li in secret. Lu Li left that universe after reading the contract and snuck into the deity rainbow universe. There were powerful seals at the entrance to the deity rainbow universe, but it didn't make any difference to Lu Li. Lu Li began another round of attacks. He destroyed a major city on his first move and slaughtered all the warriors in that city. The city was leveled to the ground, and heads were rolling on the ground. There were not many people of the rainbow race in the city. Those warriors were affiliated to the rainbow race. At the same time, Lu Li shouted in the city that all the cities in the deity rainbow universe were his targets. If they didn't want to die, then they should leave the cities and gather at the city of fairy dragons. If he ran into them in the wild, he would kill them without mercy. Soon the news spread out. The entire deity rainbow universe was in chaos. Civilians began to gather at the city of fairy dragons. In a matter of days, the population of the city of fairy dragons had reached tens of millions. Outside the city of fairy dragons was a dense crowd of civilians. Lu Li went on his way and destroyed 7 cities in a row. The clan leader of the rainbow race couldn't wait to go after Lu Li in person. However, he was not a mortal hermit of the South Pole. How could he find Lu Li on his own? Where could he find Lu Li? The clan leader of the South Pole had to go to a nearby city to wait for Lu Li and try his luck. However, on the 3rd day, the clan leader of the rainbow race received news that 2 cities in the north had been destroyed. When he was on his way, he received news from the west that Lu Li had attacked a city in the west. The deity rainbow universe was too vast. How could the clan leader of the rainbow race find Lu Li by himself? More and more warriors were gathering at the city of fairy dragons. There were already more than 100 million of them. What would happen when there were so many warriors? Chaos. Warriors were fighting at the city of fairy dragons every day. There were women being raped and murdered. There were also countless thieves and robbers. This was something that could not be avoided. There were just too many citizens. If the chaos continued, there might be more chaos. Either the civilians would leave the deity rainbow universe, or there would be a chaotic battle. By then, civilians would die in the battle. In the deity rainbow universe, the civilians of the rainbow race were their foundation. However, there were only so many of them. Most of them were the families and civilians that depended on the rainbow race. If a large number of these civilians were to migrate or die, then the deity rainbow universe would be doomed. The rainbow race had no other choice. The clan leader of the rainbow race had to send a message back and ask the chief patriarch of the rainbow race to continue the negotiation. If it was not too much, the rainbow race could make a concession. Chapter 3288. The rainbow race made concessions, but the Hu race was unwilling. The Hu race and Lu Li were not at war, and they were not in pain. The rainbow race was only here to help. This was not their business, but they would have to pay a heavy price. The Hu race's reputation would be tarnished, which the Hu race could not accept. But the Yin Emperor was resolute and would not give in. This made the negotiation impossible. The Yin Emperor was not in a hurry, and neither was the Hu race. But the rainbow race was in a hurry because Lu Li was still at the immortal rainbow universe. The cities in the immortal rainbow universe could be destroyed at any moment. Many people were still moving toward the fairy dragon city. As long as Lu Li did not stop, the immortal rainbow universe would not be peaceful. However, the Hu race was not willing to give in. What could the rainbow race do? Beg the Yin Emperor? What was the difference between that and the Hu race being handed over to the Yin Emperor? Time moved on. 10 days later, Lu Li had destroyed another 3 cities at the immortal rainbow universe. Finally, the patriarch of the Hu race could not sit still anymore. The negotiation began again. The Hu race made a lot of concessions, especially when it came to compensation. They took the initiative to add some celestial stones and agreed to compensate 30 trillion celestial stones. They also increased the amount of resources and treasures. However, The Hu race would never agree to make a statement. The Yin Emperor never intended to damage the Hu race's reputation. He just wanted to blackmail them. The Rainbow race had run out of celestial stones and resources. There was nothing to blackmail the Rainbow race. The Yin Emperor's main purpose was to blackmail the Hu race. The Yin Emperor made some concessions, but there were still some that the Hu race could not accept. Once again, the negotiation was in a stalemate. But Luli was still attacking. Every few days, a city would be destroyed. It didn't matter if the city was destroyed, as it could be rebuilt. But every time a city was destroyed, countless people would be bitterly disappointed. If the Rainbow race could not protect their homeland, then why would they follow the Rainbow race? There were many universes nearby. They were just average people, and they would be at the bottom of the hierarchy. Why would they stay at the immortal Rainbow universe? The Patriarch of the Rainbow race had no other choice but to visit the Yin Emperor alone. He was a powerful warrior that was very close to the complete completion, but the Yin Emperor was still half a step away. Now, he had no other choice but to humble himself and beg the Yin Emperor. After some discussion, the Yin Emperor expressed that he was willing to give Luli another 10 trillion celestial stones in private. Finally, the Yin Emperor agreed and sent a message to Luli to stop. The Yin Emperor knew very well that negotiation was like a tug of war. It would take a long time. The Yin Emperor's side was already in an invincible position. The Yin Emperor's side would not lose. Of course, if he pushed his opponent too far and touched their bottom line, it might be a life-and-death struggle. Therefore, the negotiation could not be rushed. It had to be done bit by bit, test the other party's bottom line bit by bit, and obtain the greatest benefits. Luli stopped fighting and left the immortal Rainbow City. Emperor Yin had sent him a message that the matter with the Rainbow race had come to an end. The Rainbow race was too poor to be exploited. The Hu race should be richer. Emperor's race had the Yin race. The Lu Yin race to Yin race. Race was Yan's mind. Race would to Yan's race is Yan's Li. He to a place and Yin race. 1. Yin race to Yin race would kill the Yin Yin and then would run. Race. 1's race rule. 2. Race. Race. Yin Yin race to race. Race. Rich. Yin race Yin. Race. Yin. 1 wrong word, and he would kill the enemy and then run away. He had also attacked a few places with precious resources in this realm, but he did not kill the Saint Emperors there. He only used a spirit formation technique to seal the Saint Emperors there and stole countless resources and treasures before escaping. The Hu race was shocked when the news came. How dare an old demon touch the Hu race? How dare he do this in their universe? Was he courting death? Thus, the elders supervising the area immediately sent out a large number of scouts to investigate, but in the end, they lost track of this mysterious expert. The Patriarch was not in a hurry to report. After all, the loss was not great. If he were to report this to the family Patriarch, he would be incompetent. 10 days later, the crazy warrior appeared in another universe. This time, he was more aggressive. He plundered 5 resource-rich lands in a row. Most of the warriors were killed. The patriarchs in charge passed out and were badly injured. But none of the Saint Kings died. The matter could not be kept under wraps. A large number of patriarchs of the Hu race came to this universe to look for the crazy warrior. Naturally, they could not find him. The news was sent to the family leader of the Rainbow race, who ordered them to stop searching. The family leader of the Rainbow race knew very well that the crazy warrior was Luli in disguise. Luli did not kill the Saint Kings. His intention was clear. If he wanted to, he could do whatever he wanted in the universe controlled by the Hu race. He could kill the Saint Kings of the Hu race one by one, and let the Hu race repeat the story of the Rainbow race. Threats, intimidation. Luli and the God of Death were blatantly threatening. If the negotiation failed, then the crazy priest would go on a killing spree. By then, Hu race warriors would not only be knocked out or wounded, but also lose a large number of Saint Kings of the Hu race. The family leader of the Hu race gathered many patriarchs for a meeting. Some of the patriarchs were enraged. They believed this was a provocation to the Hu race. If this matter was not suppressed, then the Hu race would lose their dignity in the chaotic universe. If the Hu race gave in this time, then the other major races would belittle the Hu race and bully them. That would be the end of the Hu race. Glory is my life. Sometimes glory was more than just glory. It was an important factor in the survival and development of a race. Without glory, a race would lose followers, enemies would belittle them, and wolves would cast greedy eyes on them. They would gradually lose their territories and eventually the entire race. On the other hand, some patriarchs wanted peace. It had been proven that Saint Kings could not find Lu Li. They could not see through Lu Li's disguise or track him down. No matter how many scouts were sent out, it was pointless. The Hu race had 10 powerful warriors that were very close to the consummate realm. That being said, the Hu race had more than 100 universes. Even if they could send out 7 or 8 warriors that were very close to the consummate realm, how could they find Lu Li? Once Lu Li was enraged, then the tragedy of the rainbow race would repeat at the Hu race. The Hu race was afraid to fight against the god of death. Therefore, the outcome of the war with Lu Li might not be pleasant. Find him. In the end, the family leader of the Hu race gave the order to mobilize all forces to find Lu Li. Lu Li had not revealed himself. He was only using the name of the crazy warrior. Such being the case, they would look for the crazy warrior for a period of time. If they could find and kill Lu Li, then everything would be settled and the negotiation with the god of death would be terminated. At the order of the family leader of the Hu race, many warriors began to move. For more than 100 universes, countless scouts and warriors began to search all over the mountains and plains. The Hu race sent out 7 powerful warriors that were very close to the consummate realm to join the search. Also, the best scouts of the affiliated races of the Hu race were mobilized. The Hu race paid a great price to hire several races that were good at tracking to join the search. Would the tragedy of the rainbow race happen again? But at the very least, the scene of hundreds of millions of warriors hunting for Lu Li would be reenacted. Chapter 3289. Soon, it was a grand occasion. In addition to the Hu race, there were scouts from thousands of nearby worlds and in the void. The number of scouts and warriors searching this time was over 10 billion. 10 billion warriors were searching for one warrior. How glorious was that? Of course, for Lu Li, it was a glory, but for the Hu race, it was a tragedy. But there was nothing they could do about it. Lu Li had such a mysterious power. Soon, the news spread across the entire chaotic star region. It was hard not to notice such a large force coming from the Hu race, one of the super races. 10 billion warriors searching for a warrior named Crazy Taoist. It sounds like a fairy tale, but it is really happening. The entire chaotic star region was talking about it. Everyone was wondering who this crazy Taoist that they had never seen before was. What exactly did he do to cause the Hu tribe to mobilize such a large force? Half a month, 1 month. What shocked the chaotic star region even more happened. The Hu race had been searching for a month, and they were still searching. That was to say, hundreds of millions of warriors have been searching for a month, and yet they could not find the crazy Taoist. There were several races that were good at tracking. Many onlookers were familiar with this scene. Soon, there was a rumor. Could that crazy Taoist be Lu Li? Back then, the rainbow race also sent out many warriors to search, but they could not find Lu Li. Of course, this was just a rumor. After all, the rainbow race sent out an announcement that Lu Li was dead and Immortal Hermit of the South Pole had endorsed the rainbow race. Therefore, everyone believed that Lu Li was dead. It was hard to stay alive in the eye of destruction. After a month of searching, Lu Li was nowhere to be found. The clan leader of the Hu race knew that this was not going to be easy. Lu Li was still as powerful as before. The Hu race had sent out 7 powerful warriors that were almost at the consummate realm. If a tiger was not killed, he would be bitten. The clan leader of the Hu race knew that Lu Li's revenge would come soon. He could not mobilize so many warriors to keep searching. Once the search was weakened, Lu Li's revenge would come and many powerful warriors of the Hu race would lose their lives. The clan leader of the Hu race only had 2 choices. The first one was to stop the search and negotiate with the god of death to make him happy. When the negotiations were settled, Lu Li would naturally leave. The second option was to wait for Lu Li to make a move. Granted, there would be some losses, but there was hope that they could find Lu Li and kill him. If they could not kill Lu Li, the Hu race would have to pay a greater price. Where there is gain, there is loss. After thinking for a long time, the leader of the Hu tribe finally chose the second option. He was not willing to fail just like that. Most importantly, this matter had already been blown out of proportion. The entire chaotic starfields was watching. If they didn't give a satisfactory explanation, it would be a huge blow to the Hu tribe's reputation. The leader of the Hu race decided to take a gamble. If he was going to play, he would play big and lose more. During this time, Emperor Yin had been living in the main city of the Hu race. His days were carefree, as if he was not worried that Lu Li would be captured or killed. Emperor Yin trusted Lu Li. More than 20 years ago, Lu Li had made a mess of the Hu race and the Rainbow race. Now that Lu Li was much more powerful, the Hu race would not be able to find him. As long as Lu Li could not be found, Emperor Yin would be in a better position to negotiate. By then, Emperor Yin could make a bigger offer and force the Hu race to bow their heads. This would be a great contribution, and the God of Death's reputation would be even more famous. Another half a month passed. The search was much less intense. If they could find some traces, the trackers would be more than happy. Without any traces or clues, it would be tiring and boring to search aimlessly. As a matter of fact, the clan leader of the Hu race was also involved. He ordered the search to be less intense to lure Lu Li into action. Lu Li to take action. He attacked the Hu race's main region, the Hu race's Hu region. He had slain 5 Saint Kings in a single move and broken into a resource zone. He had slaughtered all the soldiers there and taken away all the god resources. When the clan leader of the Rainbow race was informed, he went there at once. At the same time, he mobilized many powerful warriors and scouts to block off the area and began a thorough search. Unfortunately, millions of warriors and scouts were mobilized, but nothing was found. 3 days later, a place of resources in the north was attacked. Another 3 Saint Kings were killed, and more than 100,000 warriors were slaughtered. Not a single one was spared. All the treasures in the warehouse were taken away. The clan leader of the Hu race knew he had failed, but he was not willing to give up. He went on with more powerful warriors, but still found nothing. After searching there for a day or two, another resource-rich location was attacked. Unscrupulous and lawless. That was the feeling Lu Li gave to the warriors of the Hu race. He came and went without a trace. He could kill anyone he wanted and leave as soon as he was done. No warrior could find him, and no powerful warrior could find him. This place was like his backyard. Soon, the news spread out. The entire Chaotic Star region was in an uproar. The rumors that had died down came back. This was Lu Li's style. Wasn't this very similar to what had happened to the Rainbow race back then? 5 days later, a piece of news spread out with the help of the Dark House. The Chaotic Star region was stirred up. Lu Li had declared that the Hu race had helped the Rainbow race hunt him down. Therefore, he was declaring war against the Hu race. He was declaring war on the Hu race on behalf of himself. Either he would die, the Hu race would bow to him, or they would be wiped out. A warrior was declaring war against a super race. The news spread out like a tsunami. Lu Li's name, which had been quiet for more than 20 years, was once again heard in the Chaotic Star region. In the eyes of many warriors, Lu Li was just a moth flying into a flame. Now, he had proven himself to the Chaotic Star region with his achievements. Overnight, Lu Li's name was known all over the world. This time, it was all praise and admiration. After all, it was rare for a warrior to challenge a super race, even if some of the challengers had become skeletons or the most powerful warriors in the world. In the Chaotic Starfield, there were 2 peerless elites who had done the same thing. Now, they had reached the great perfection realm and could look down on everything in the world. Therefore, many warriors were looking forward to seeing if Lu Li would be killed by the Hu race or if he would make a name for himself and soar up to the highest heaven. The man that walked out from the eye of destruction. Lu Li also received a title, which was a great honor. It was proof of Lu Li's miraculous, mysterious, and powerful abilities. Because of this title, Lu Li gained many female admirers. If Lu Li wanted to mess around, there would be many beauties waiting in line to have sex with him. This was an era where powerful warriors were worshipped and heroes were desired. When some powerful warriors did something amazing, they would be praised and worshipped, as well as recognized by many other powerful warriors. No matter how the fight ended, at least Lu Li had become famous, more famous than he was in the Infinite region. Over there, he was cursed, but here he was praised. Chapter 3290. Lu Li had declared war. The Hu race was now in an awkward position. The clan leader of the Hu race was ready to admit defeat and be killed by the Grim Reaper. However, after Lu Li declared war, the Hu race leader had no other choice. Since Lu Li had declared war, the Hu race had to fight back. Otherwise, warriors of the Chaotic Star region would belittle them, and their reputation would be tarnished. The clan leader of the Hu race gathered all the patriarchs to pool their wisdom and efforts to survive this catastrophe. That was right. As far as the powerful warriors of the Hu race were concerned, this was a catastrophe for the Hu race. If they could not handle it well, the future of the Hu race would be affected. At the very least, the Hu race would decline for a period of time, if not wiped out. After 3 days of discussion, the Hu race came up with 3 plans. First, they would spend a lot of money to hire more powerful tracking races. They would hire all the famous tracking races of the Chaotic Star region. Second, they would offer a reward for Lu Li's life or whereabouts. As long as Lu Li could be killed, the Hu race would win the battle. Third, they would start with Lu Li's family and friends. They would see if they could sneak into the Tianyue city to capture Lu Li's family and friends so that Lu Li could leave. Lu Li was the cause of all this. After all, the Grim Reaper hadn't declared war against them, and there was no sign of it. The Grim Reaper wouldn't declare war so easily. They could find the headquarters of the Grim Reaper, even if they couldn't find Lu Li. If the Hu race fought with all their might, the Grim Reaper would suffer a great loss as well. Therefore, as long as Lu Li was taken care of, the Hu race could survive this crisis. Otherwise, not only would the Hu race be humiliated, but they would also suffer a great loss. Their reputation and prestige would be gone. The Hu race would have a hard time in the coming days. Lu Li began his attack again. This time, he didn't stay at the Hu race realm. He snuck into a nearby region. He went on a killing spree in this region. He broke into the main city of this region, killed 11 Saint Kings, and leveled the city to the ground. But Lu Li was badly wounded. It was said that there were several holes in his body. When the clan leader of the Hu race heard the news, he swarmed over with powerful warriors. Lu Li must be looking for a place to recuperate since he was wounded. His stealth skill would not be as effective. This was a good opportunity. Unfortunately, the Hu race leader and a group of powerful warriors searched the region several times, but found no trace of Lu Li. Just as they were about to give up, they heard news of another domain being attacked. That place was 6 or 7 days away from where they were, and they had only been searching for 6 or 7 days. That was to say, after Lu Li was injured, he left this place at once. After a few days on the road, he entered that place and attacked at once. Back then, Lu Li was fighting 11 Saint Kings at the same time. Countless powerful warriors saw with their own eyes that Lu Li was seriously injured. Could Lu Li recover in an instant? Otherwise, how could he travel so easily when he was heavily injured? There were many scouts outside the void. He couldn't figure it out. The king of the Amber race and the other powerhouses couldn't figure it out, so they continued to follow. The reward had been issued. The Hu race offered 10 trillion celestial stones. Anyone who could help find Lu Li would receive 10 trillion celestial stones. The Hu race was willing to offer hundreds of trillion celestial stones if they could kill Lu Li. A sky-high bounty. This was very rare in the history of the chaotic starfields. Many old demons were tempted and swarmed over. Some old demons were alone and had no territory. They urgently needed resources, and this kind of opportunity was very rare for them. More and more old demons arrived, and they all received tokens of the Hu race. With more scouts, The environment would be more complicated, and it would be more suitable for Lu Li to hide. Half a month later, another major city was under attack. Lu Li didn't even bother to attack the places with resources. He went for the major cities directly. The impact would be worse, and the Hu race would suffer a greater blow. More powerful warriors from major races came. They were not here for the reward. They were hired by the Hu race. The Hu race had hired more than a dozen major races with tracking skills. There would be tens of thousands of top-level scouts. In addition to the hired scouts, the major races had sent scouts as well. They weren't here to track Lu Li. They were here purely to gather information and pass on the information. Emperor Yin left. Negotiations could not be negotiated anytime soon. Lu Li had gone too far. Emperor Yin must go back and report the news to the other leaders and let them decide. Emperor Yin didn't blame Lu Li. On the contrary, Lu Li's actions would make the Reaper more famous, which was beneficial to the Reaper. As long as Lu Li was alive, the Reaper would benefit no matter what. If Lu Li wanted to fight the Hu race in his own name, then what did it have to do with the Reaper? The Reaper could come and go as he pleased. Therefore, Emperor Yin didn't care about Lu Li, and he wasn't worried that Lu Li would die. Since Lu Li wasn't found, no amount of scouts could help. The only one who could find Lu Li was Immortal Hermit of the South Pole, who had arrived at the Skycross City. The killing was still going on. In the next month, Lu Li made 7 moves and killed more than 50 Saint Kings. He seemed to be tireless, and his wounds could be healed in an instant. Every time, he would be injured, some seriously, some lightly. But after the fight started, he would vanish without a trace. After a while, he would reappear, fully recovered, slaughter a city, and then swagger away. Saint Kings as if they were livestock. It was said that Lu Li's abilities were very close to the complete realm. Otherwise, how could he kill more than a dozen Saint Kings easily? Some of them were at the later stage of the Saint King realm. How could he be so powerful if he was not at this realm? Lu Li's name was known throughout the Chaotic Star region. His mysterious hiding skills and his cruel means had shocked many warriors. Now, in many places, Lu Li's name could stop a child from crying. Many people would scare their children by saying that Lu Li was the devil. The tribe leader of the Hu race was hopping mad. The tragedy of the Rainbow race was happening to the Hu race. He had mobilized all the powerful tracking races and more than 1,000 old demons to join the search team. But still, they found nothing. They didn't find Lu Li, not even once. They couldn't even find a trace of him or chase him for several miles. Lu Li was like a ghost. When he wanted to come out, he would come out. When he wanted to leave, he felt he had left the world. Yuang. Some warriors had already given Lu Li a nickname, Yuang. It meant that he was like a specter, a king among specters. The entire Chaotic Star region was watching. They were waiting for the moment when the Hu race would admit defeat, for the moment when the Hu race would be beaten into submission. They were waiting for a miracle to happen. If one person could defeat a super clan, it would be a miracle. This event would be recorded in the history of the Chaotic Sky Star Field. The warriors of the Chaotic Sky Star Field would be the witnesses of this grand event. The Hu race had many Saint Kings, more than 1,000. Including the affiliated races, the number could reach 2,000 to 3,000. Lu Li killed 20 to 30 in a month. In a year, he would kill hundreds. In a few years, the Hu race would be wiped out. They would end up like the Rainbow race. End of this chapter. Chapter 3291. The atmosphere in the Tianyue city was joyful. Many taverns were full of warriors, dancing in joy. Their faces were filled with smiles, as if the Grim Reaper had won a super battle. Strictly speaking, the Grim Reaper had indeed won the battle. Lu Li was the trump card of the Grim Reaper. Lu Li's victory was their victory and the entire Grim Reaper's victory. Everyone was talking about Lu Li and sharing all kinds of news. They were guessing the outcome of the battle and bragging about their relationship with Lu Li. The Grim Reaper was filled with assassins, killers that walked in the dark. They didn't have a hero, but now a hero had emerged. This made these Grim Reapers very excited, and they felt honored. Sunfeather's manor in the Tianyue city was filled with joy as well. The core members of the Lu Alliance didn't cultivate anymore. They were waiting anxiously for Lu Li's news. Many of them were in tears of joy that Lu Li could walk out alive. Lu Li never let them down. Once again, he had created a miracle. The status of disciples of the Lu Alliance in different universes of the Grim Reaper was rising as well. The young ones were cultivating like crazy with Lu Li as their goal. They didn't want to embarrass Lu Li. The disciples of the Lu Alliance could not be so weak. Lu Ling, Yin Qingxi, and Xiang Linglong had reached the Great Emperor Realm. Now, the Lu Alliance had 7 Great Emperor Realm warriors. It was still far from enough, but it was much better than before. Unluer had reached the middle stage of the 6th tribulation. She had countless resources, and the Grim Reaper was a very suitable environment for cultivation. She was determined to strive. In a few 100,000 years, the Lu Alliance would grow and develop. At the very least, it would be able to take root in the Grim Reaper. Lu Li's wives and concubines were looking forward to and nervous. They were all waiting for Lu Li's return. This time, Lu Li didn't leave for long, only 20 years. But those 20 years were the most difficult. Fortunately, Lu Li's jade talisman of life was still intact. Therefore, it didn't feel too hopeless. I want to go back and fight side by side with you, Qi Dingdong exclaimed. Yin Qingxi and Xiang Linglong, on the other hand, forced a smile. Lu Li's enemies were too powerful for them to do anything. What could they do? Go and kill average warriors? How many could they kill? Lu Li also had to protect them. I'm going into seclusion. Inform me when you return. Xiang Linglong turned around and left. Waiting here was unbearable. Even though there was no bad news, Lu Li wouldn't be back anytime soon. It would probably take at least a year or two for the matter with the Hu tribe to be settled. How long do you think it will take for him to come back? In another castle in the manor, Mo Qianqian asked Yu Yang casually while fiddling with a cup in her hand. Yu Yang held a cup of wine and swirled it as he said with a smile, "Who knows? 1 year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 to 5 years. Since you want to see him so badly, why don't you go find him?" "I don't want to see him." Mo Qianqian's pretty face revealed a trace of anger. "I just don't want the Grim Reaper's glory to be destroyed in his hands. He is arrogant and conceited. If he dies there, it will be a huge blow to our Grim Reaper's glory." "You women," Yu Yang shook his head with a bitter smile and said, "You have a sharp tongue but a soft heart. You miss him so much, but you don't dare to admit it. How many times have you been here?" "Qianqian, liking someone is not an ugly thing. When you love someone, you must make sacrifices. You know, he is the dream lover of many girls. His wives and concubines are so beautiful and gentle. Don't think that you are the golden flower of the Grim Reaper and all the men are chasing after you. As a matter of fact, the other 2 golden flowers are interested in Lu Li as well. He has a promising future in the Grim Reaper. He will be put in an important position when he comes back." "Alas, I don't know." This time, Mo Qianqian didn't argue back. She lowered her head and said, "Maybe it is because of reverse psychology? Before, all the men liked me and revolved around me. But Lu Li is an exception. Is that why I want to conquer him to prove my excellence? Or, the more I want to conquer someone, the harder it is for me to do so. Am I being conquered by him?" "Ha ha." Yu Yang raised the cup in his hand high and swirled it in front of his eyes. He said calmly, "Men and women are a game of conquering and being conquered. Either the man falls in love with the woman or the woman falls in love with the man. When both parties fall in love with each other, then it is true love. Of course, in true love, one party falls in love with the other first. There is no right or wrong in love, and there is no reason to talk about it. If you fall in love, you fall in love. Either you give up, or you continue to be in pain." Mo Qianqian's eyebrows twitched as if this was the first time she had met Yu Yang. She asked in surprise, "Yu Yang, I remember that you have always been single. I have never heard of you and any girl. I heard that your family arranged many blind dates for you, and you rejected all of them? I didn't know you knew so much about love." "I don't have a lover, but that doesn't mean I have never loved before." Yu Yang smiled bitterly again. He turned around and looked out the window. Okay, let's not talk about this. Life has to go on. Speaking of which, Qian don't always revolve around Lu Li. Young Master Heng is about to come out. You will bring Lu Li a lot of trouble. Li Heng, Mo, Qian said coldly. Who said that I have to marry him? He is talented, has a distinguished identity, and is the most important young master in the Chaotic Star region. So what? Nobody can force me to marry him even if I don't like him. I didn't say that you have to marry him. Yu Yang pursed his lips and said, but he is a hot-tempered person. After he hears about you, he will try to kill Lu Li. Even if he can't kill Lu Li, he will bring him great trouble. If Lu Li likes you as well, then it doesn't matter. I think the higher-ups of the God of Death will be happy to make this happen. But Mo Qian lowered her head. After a moment of silence, she walked out. Yu Yang watched her leave and sighed helplessly. He believed that Mo Qian was not really in love with Lu Li. She was just not happy about it. Plus, Lu Li was really excellent and had the ability to enchant women. That was why she was in such a situation. At the end of the day, it was all because of her pride. He really is a cockroach beast that cannot be killed. In a red palace at the Pengcheng city, Lady Yuan was looking at a portrait with mixed feelings. She had thought that Lu Li was dead, and she was disappointed. How would he die like this? She didn't expect that Lu Li would come out alive, and his abilities had improved. Now, he was famous. She was famous, but she knew very well that she had to rely on the Gue race. Also, to many warriors, she was just a pretty face, completely different from Lu Li. Lu Li's fight with the Rainbow Race was different. Last time, it was an assassination. He wasn't recognized by the Chaotic Star region. They only thought he was a good assassin. This time, he was fighting almost openly. Every time, he would fight with many Saint Kings. His abilities had been recognized by the entire Chaotic Star region. Lady Yuan thought she was extraordinary, but she knew that if she were to fight with Lu Li face to face, she would be killed instantly. There was no doubt about it. Lu Li, just you wait. I will surpass you. Lady Yuan was determined. Previously, she didn't have a goal in her cultivation. She was just trying to be recognized by her race. Now, she had a clear goal. That was to become stronger, to become a powerful warrior that was infinitely close to the perfect completion. When she became one, she could trample on Lu Li and return the humiliation he gave her 100 times over. End of this chapter. Chapter 3292. The massacre at the Hu race was still going on. Lu Li went from universe to universe tirelessly. He would go to another universe after he was done and then come back. Occasionally, he would go back to the Hu race. 7 powerful warriors of the Hu race that were close to the perfect realm were sent out to hunt Lu Li down. Sometimes, they would hide in some major cities, waiting for him. But Lu Li felt he could predict the future. Not once did he run into any powerful warriors that were close to the perfect realm. There were 3 warriors of the Hu race that were close to the perfect realm, hiding in the major cities. But Lu Li never ran into any of them after all the times he had attacked. It was not just good luck. The only explanation was that Lu Li could sense them in advance. Another month later, the number of Saint Kings of the Hu race had reached 60 to 70. They had lost 10 million warriors, and dozens of cities were destroyed. This was a great loss. Now, the universes controlled by the Hu race were in panic. Many warriors were afraid to stay in the major cities anymore. Any major city could be attacked by Lu Li. Any major city could be in danger. It was a well-known fact that Lu Li did not kill civilians. But once the situation became chaotic, many warriors would be killed by the shockwaves of attacks. Some of them were killed by the shockwaves of the Hu race armies and powerful warriors. Who would care about the lives of civilians in a chaotic battle? At the very least, many merchants had left during this time. Why would they risk their lives here? Why would they risk their lives here? They could come back to do business when things calmed down. The universes of the Hu race were in chaos as well. A large number of civilians had begun to flee, abandoning their homes and properties because they were afraid and panicking. There were deserters in some armies as well. The Hu race could not protect them. Naturally, they didn't want to follow the Hu race. Why would they go anywhere? After all, they were just going to receive a salary. The master of the Hu race was losing patience. The more than a dozen trackers he hired were of no use. Apart from spending a huge amount of celestial stones, they did nothing else. Some of the old warriors had left. They had no money. If they could not find Lu Li or kill him, there would be no reward. Therefore, there was no point in staying. The tribe leader, the Amber tribe, had already given up in his heart. However, he was too embarrassed to admit his failure. He gathered a group of patriarchs and was ready for one last fight. He wanted to send out all his powerful warriors to empty the Hu city. He wanted to lure the enemy into his trap. They wanted to use Hu city as bait to see if Lu Li dared to attack Hu city. Hu city was the face of the Hu tribe, and the ancestors of the Hu tribe were buried in Hu city. If Hu city was destroyed, then Lu Li would be rubbing the faces of the Hu race against the ground. Lu Li had always been fond of attacking his enemies' major cities. Years ago, he destroyed the immortal Rainbow Mountain. Therefore, this was a great temptation for Lu Li. Even if he knew it was poisonous, he might swallow it. The 9 supreme experts of the Hu race had all been mobilized, and they had even shown themselves in public, swaggering through the streets, hoping that all the martial artists would know where they were. They each led an army of scouts to search a realm. Coincidentally, Lu Li had entered the Husk region and attacked a major city. The patriarch of the Hu clan immediately set off, and most of the experts in the city had been mobilized. Only 8 Saint Kings remained. Everyone knew the Hu race only had 10 experts who were infinitely close to the full circle realm. Now that all of them had come out, Hu city definitely didn't have any supreme experts. If Lu Li could raise Hu city to the ground, it would be more effective than destroying any number of cities. Had all the powerful warriors of the Hu race really left? That was right. The Hu race didn't have an 11th powerful warrior. But the patriarch of the Hu race had a strange stone in his hand. When he crushed the stone, he could be teleported back to the Hu city. There weren't many of these stones left, only 3. This time, the patriarch of the Hu race planned to use one. The atmosphere in the Hu city was tense. People in the city could tell that the patriarch of the Hu race had left because he was waiting for Lu Li to launch a sneak attack on the Hu city. But the Hu city was under martial law. Nobody was allowed to go in or out. That being said, the shield in the city was not activated, as if the shield was activated for fear that Lu Li wouldn't come. Time passed bit by bit. At midnight, the space in the sky suddenly fluctuated. Next, a massive silver dragon appeared. Beside the silver dragon was a massive palm silhouette. The palm silhouette slammed down on the city. Incoming, the Saint Kings in the city were on high alert. All of them flew up at once, using all kinds of skills to defend against the Dharma form and the hand. If the 2 attacks landed, half of the Hu city would be destroyed. By then, the Hu race would be humiliated. A Saint King crushed a token in his hand and notified the patriarch of the Hu race at once. As long as they could hold on for the time for half an incense stick to burn, the patriarch of the Hu race would come back. By then, it would be the end for Lu Li. Boom, 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 boom. Several Saint Emperors attacked together and shattered Lu Li's attack easily. However, right at that moment, a surge of horrifying chi and energy came from underground. Following that, a strong shockwave spread out. Following that, the ground began to explode and rocks filled the sky. The buildings within the city were destroyed, and a massive crater appeared in the center of the city. Half of the city had collapsed from the tremors. "It's Lu Li. He is underground," a Saint King yelled. The other Saint Kings locked onto Lu Li with psychic power as well. All of them dashed into the ground. They didn't have to kill Lu Li. All they had to do was stall him for a moment. When the patriarch of the Hu race came back, Lu Li would be doomed. The patriarch of the Hu race was the most powerful warrior of the Hu race and one of the most powerful warriors in the chaotic universe. Whoosh! Originally, the Saint Emperors thought that Lu Li would kill them, but to their surprise, Lu Li simply shot up and took the attacks of several Saint Emperors head-on. He charged into the air and slapped the city several times before flying off into the distance with a flash. Lu Li's speed was amazing. He was still in the state of dragon transformation. Even though the Saint Kings were hot on his trail, they lost track of him soon. Buzzing not long afterward, a huge castle in the Who city began to tremble. A strong man came out from an altar. It was the clan leader of the Who race. His divine sense swept out like a tidal wave. He saw that more than half of the city had been destroyed, and countless civilians were injured and killed. He roared and soared into the sky, rushing towards the south under the guidance of the martial artists in the city. He was so fast that he was even faster than Luli. Soon, he caught up with the Saint Kings. He shouted, "Where is that bastard?" The Saint Kings were ashamed. One of them shook his head and said, "Clan leader, he is flying away. He is fast. We cannot catch up with him. We cannot find him with psychic power either." "Listen up," the clan leader of the Who race yelled. "All the Saint Kings hiding move. Surround him and stall him. We must find him. I will tear him apart with my own hands. P.S. One day off. For more chapters tomorrow." End of this chapter. Chapter 3293. When a master of the Who race was planning, he mobilized more than 100 Saint Emperors to set up an ambush nearby. The Saint Emperors were well hidden. Only a few leaders of the Who race knew where they were. The Saint Emperors were hiding in 8 places around the Who city. At the command of the master of the Who race, the patriarchs would seal off an area with a radius of tens of millions of miles. There were more than 5 million warriors in the nearby cities who were here to stop Lu Li as well. At the command of the master of the Who race, the Saint Emperors and warriors took action. They sealed off an area with a radius of tens of millions of miles. They didn't shrink the circle right away. Instead, they formed several layers of protection. Every warrior had a token. In this way, if Lu Li wanted to fish in troubled waters, it would be much more difficult for him to disguise himself as a warrior. Not only that, many warriors and Saint Emperors were coming. Almost all the powerful warriors and most of the armies in the Who race were being mobilized. This was a great opportunity. If they couldn't catch Lu Li this time, then they wouldn't have another chance to catch Lu Li. Warriors that were close to the absolute completion were also coming to the Who race. The Who race had paid a heavy price. The Who city was destroyed. If they could not capture Lu Li, then the Who race would be doomed. The tribe leader of the Amber race flew quickly and scanned the surroundings with his powerful spiritual will. After scanning the surroundings over and over again, something shocking happened. He searched the area surrounded by the Who race warriors 3 times, but found no trace. Once again, Lu Li had vanished from the face of the earth. The master of the Who race did not believe that Lu Li could fly away in such a short time. The master of the Who race could see through Lu Li's invisibility. The master of the Who race was close to the absolute completion. He was more sensitive to heaven and earth than Saint Emperors. Lu Li had been seen through by warriors of this level as well. I will find him even if I have to scour the ground. The master of the Who race flew around in a frenzy. Scouts and Saint Emperors were mobilized to search as well. Every place was attacked. A large number of powerful warriors even went underground. Many places underground were blasted open. 5 warriors of the Who race that were close to the absolute completion were teleported over to join the search. Scouts and warriors came to an area with a radius of hundreds of millions of miles, searching every inch of the Who race. There were many scouts from the major clans in Who city. They quickly spread the news and attracted the attention of the entire chaotic starfields. They weren't concerned about the destruction of Amber City, but about Lu Li's life and death. The Amber race had set up such a big trap. Lu Li was doomed this time. 10 days, half a month, 1 month. Still, Lu Li was nowhere to be found. The master of the Amber race was convinced. He ordered the army to retreat and at the same time contacted the god of death to negotiate. The clan leader of the Amber race admitted defeat. He was convinced by Lu Li. The god of death sent Emperor Yin over at once. At the same time, Emperor Yin informed Lu Li to stop the fight secretly. The Who race was a super race. Lu Li could not push them too hard. The destruction of the Who city had already disgraced the Who race. If Lu Li were to push them further, the Who race would be driven to a dead end. By then, they would have to fight against the god of death, whose city's army had retreated, which meant that they had admitted defeat. The entire heavenly chaotic starfield was in an uproar. A miracle had happened. A single person had suppressed a super-large race. It had been tens of thousands of years since something like this had happened. The most powerful assassin in the world, Yu Wang. Lu Li had earned 2 nicknames. Even though the 9 warriors of the god of death were powerful as well, they didn't have the glorious record of suppressing an entire race on their own. Their hiding skills were not as good as Lu Li's. The negotiation went well. It wasn't that the Hu race accepted the surrender unconditionally. Instead, the god of death made a big concession. The god of death didn't ask the Hu race to make a statement. Instead, the god of death would make a statement saying that it was all a misunderstanding and that the 2 sides had reconciled. The god of death was smart. Lu Li had helped the god of death gain a lot of fame. Asking the Hu race to make a statement would only humiliate the Hu race. Lu Li gained face. If the Hu race could make some concessions and feel better, they could extort more from the celestial stones. Hundreds of billions of celestial stones and many rare materials. The Hu race had suffered a great loss. But could the Hu race do that? They could either perish together with the god of death or be tortured by Lu Li, which would be a greater loss. The negotiation was concluded in 5 days. The god of death didn't make a statement. Instead, he asked Lu Li and the Hu race to make a statement at the same time. Lu Li and the Hu race had reached a settlement. Lu Li would give the Hu race 10,000 celestial stones, and the Hu race would promise not to hunt Lu Li again. The announcement was made through the dark house, but the entire chaotic star sectors was booing. No matter how one looked at it, this announcement was like the Hu clan trying to cover their own faces with a layer of cloth. If the Hu race had admitted defeat openly, the other major races would think the Hu race was responsible. But now, the Hu race had become a laughingstock. Of course, the fact that the Hu race was defeated by Lu Li alone was a laughingstock in itself. At least, some of the weaker warriors at the bottom level who didn't know the truth would think the Hu race had won. This was the end of the matter. Apart from the Hu race becoming a laughingstock, Lu Li had become a person that many major races couldn't afford to offend. If you are not as powerful as the Hu race, then don't provoke Lu Li. Otherwise, you would end up like the Hu race and the Rainbow race. Lu Li went back. He kept a low profile and didn't go back with Emperor Yin. He flew to a large universe and teleported back to the one near the god of death. Then, he flew toward the Heavens Crossing City. Even though he was about to go back to the Heavens Crossing City, Lu Li was still careful. He knew that many powerful warriors wanted to cut him into pieces. Therefore, even though he was near the Heavens Crossing City, he couldn't afford to be careless. Fortunately, the trip went smoothly. Lu Li entered the Heavens Crossing City easily. He flew toward the Heavens Crossing City, disguised as a warrior of an average race. Even though he was about to enter the Heavens Crossing City, he was still careful. When he arrived at the Heavens Crossing City, Lu Li saw many warriors standing outside the city and many more powerful warriors. The trump card of the god of death, Lu Li saw dozens. Sunfeather, Mo Chantian, and Lu Ling were all here. Lu Li was relieved to see that Emperor Yin was standing in front of him. He glowed and changed back to his original appearance. Then, he flew toward the Heavens Crossing City. All eyes were on him. All the warriors were staring at Lu Li. The god of death were filled with excitement and admiration. Lu Ling, Yin Qingxi, and Lu Renhuang were trembling with tears in their eyes. Buzzing right at that moment, the space in front of Emperor Yin trembled. A man came out from nowhere. It was a skinny old man with a serious and old-fashioned face. He didn't have a strong qi and energy, nor did he have an outstanding temperament. But as soon as he came out, Emperor Yin and the others dropped to one knee and saluted, "Greetings, King of Wings." Many other god of death bowed as well. Their eyes were filled with passion. They didn't know this old man, but they had heard of King of Wings' reputation. Lu Li bowed as well. King of Wings smiled and waved his hand. "Welcome home, our hero." Chapter 3294. In the Tianyuan city, over 100,000 warriors came to greet Li. The god of death sent a warrior in person. This must be the first time in thousands of years that such a grand, welcoming ceremony had been held. Li did not rely on the resources of the god of death. He accomplished many things that even the god of death dared not to do on his own. Assassins had low self-esteem because they could only walk in the shadows. They could not fight in the open like warriors. Li had fulfilled their wishes and won glory for them. Li didn't go back right away. He only exchanged a few words with Lu Ling and Yin Qingxi. Then, he followed King of Wings and Emperor of Yin into a huge castle. Only King of Wings was in the castle. The other warriors didn't come. Given Li's status, King of Wings had come out to greet him in person. King of Wings was serious in speech and manner. He sat at the head of the table. Emperor of Yin sat on the other side with several patriarchs of law enforcement from the god of death. Li, you have made a great contribution this time. King of Wings said, "We don't want any of the celestial stones and resources from the Hu race and the rainbow race. You can have them all." Li was surprised. He did not know how much the compensation was, but it must be a large amount. The god of death didn't want any of it. According to common sense, it was only right for him to take half. Li was about to say something when King of Wings waved his hand and said, "You deserve it. The god of death is not short of these things. The Lu family is in need of development. With these resources, they can grow faster." Li didn't argue. He stood up, bowed, and said, "Thank you, King of Wings." King of Wings nodded. Taking out a dark golden token, he said, "After our study, we have decided that you have made a great contribution. We have decided to give you the position of inspector. Usually, there are no restrictions to this position. But when there is something that Emperor of Yin cannot handle, you can go and help. Of course, if you can't handle it, you can report it to us. We don't have to force you to risk your life. Emperor of Yin will tell you the details later." Inspector? Li was surprised. What was this position? He had never heard of it. It seemed to be half a rank higher than Emperor of Yin. While Li was hesitating, Emperor of Yin said, "Li, don't hesitate. This is great news. This position only allows you to enjoy superior treatment. You don't need to do anything." Li trusted Emperor Yin. He took the token and thanked Emperor Yin again. The avian sovereign waved his hand and said, "All right, it's been several decades, and you haven't reunited with your family. Go back. Emperor Yin will arrange everything. In the future, your family and loved ones can live in Tianyue City forever. You can also fight in peace. No one can harm your family and loved ones." King of Wings' words carried weight. He was guaranteeing the safety of Li's family in his name. Li was grateful, but he didn't say anything. He just bowed and left. Oh, right. When Li was about to leave, Sovereign of Wings reminded him, "There is a saying that the tallest tree in the woods will be the first to be blown down. I suggest you keep a low profile for a while." "I understand." Li left, leaving only Emperor of Wings and Emperor Yin in the hall. One of the patriarchs of law enforcement could not help but ask, "Emperor of Wings, it has been 10,000 years since the position of inspector has been established. Isn't it too much to give it to Li? That is the result of our collective discussion." Emperor of Wings threw them a glance and said in an indisputable tone, "Li is loyal to the Grim Reaper. His family and loved ones are here, which is a statement of his loyalty. Of course, the most important thing is that Li has limitless potential. In the future, he may not be weaker than us. We will grow old and die. Without the support of powerful warriors, how can the Grim Reaper survive? If Li can continue to grow stronger, he will replace one of the leaders and become the new one." That was the final word. Emperor of Wings' words rendered all the patriarchs of law enforcement speechless. This was the common will of the 9 leaders. It represented the highest will of the Grim Reaper. The 9 leaders thought highly of Li. They were even training him as the new leader. The patriarchs of law enforcement looked down on Li at first. Now, they changed their minds. 2 hours later, the Hall of Patriarchs announced the decision. Li was appointed as inspector, which was the same as the patriarchs of law enforcement. Any Grim Reaper that wanted to see Lu Li must see the patriarchs of law enforcement. Lu Li also had the authority of the patriarchs of law enforcement. As soon as the announcement was made, the Grim Reaper was in an uproar. Many warriors were proud of the decision made by the headquarters of the Grim Reaper. Some of them were doubtful. After all, Lu Li was so young, and he was only at the Emperor realm. Is it because he can't convince the masses? Wasn't the reward a little too generous? The young masters of the Grim Reaper were even more dissatisfied. They thought the headquarters were taking this too lightly. Lu Li had made a great contribution this time, but he shouldn't be given the position of inspector. Wasn't he advancing a little too quickly? Regardless of whether the warriors of the Grim Reaper were convinced or not, it was a foregone conclusion that Lu Li would be the inspector. Apart from the patriarchs of law enforcement, some other leaders, and some old warriors, all the other Grim Reaper would have to bow to Lu Li. This was the power and glory that the headquarters of the Grim Reaper had given Lu Li. It was also a reward for his contributions. The Lu Alliance was in high spirits. The Sun Feathers Manor was full of guests. Lu Li had just come back and chatted with his family for a while when a guest came. Lu Li didn't want to talk to those warriors, but he remembered that Emperor of Wings had told him to keep a low profile. Lu Li also thought that the Lu family would have to grow here in the future. Therefore, it was better that he didn't make too many enemies. In the future, he would make more friends, which would be beneficial to the development of the Lu family. Lu Li entertained guests for half a month. Not only the guests of the Grim Reaper, but many forces nearby also sent their patriarchs or family patriarchs to congratulate him. There was a rising star in the Grim Reaper, a talent that was famous all over the world. The forces nearby were not affiliated with the Grim Reaper, but they maintained a good relationship with the Grim Reaper. Naturally, they would come to visit at once. Emperor of Yin arranged a manor for Lu Li, much larger than the one he had before. It was magnificent and could accommodate thousands of people. Everything in the manor was new, and there were more than 100 maids. The compensation from the Hu race and the Rainbow race were delivered as well. There were so many that Lu Li and Lu Renhuang were speechless for a long time. The members of the Lu Alliance didn't come back, but the Heavenland region was running normally again. Qi Tian Wang went over to manage it. Some of the members of the Lu Alliance came back. The others were still scattered around. More members of the Lu Alliance began to take on missions and go through the baptism of blood and fire. Only in this way could they grow faster. Of course, they could also fall into eternal slumber. The members of the Lu Alliance were in high demand as well, especially the core disciples of the Lu family. Many small families wanted to marry them. The Grim Reaper was a loose organization. Inevitably, there were families of different sizes. To marry a disciple of the Lu Alliance meant that they were connected to Inspector Lu. In the future, the Grim Reaper would have a better life. Chapter 3295. Since Inspector Lu came back, life had been good. Every day, he would eat, sleep, and eat again. He would meet different distinguished guests and receive gifts every day until his hand was sore. He liked the new manor very much. He asked Blood Fairy to build some powerful rune formations and let Lu Ling take care of the manor. He even went to the Heavenland realm with Qi Wangshan. All the races there came to greet him, as obedient as Lu Li's grandchildren. The Heavenland realm was not a big deal. The Lu Alliance was developing well. Everything was on the right track. Lu Li didn't have to worry about it. As long as Lu Li stayed, the Lu Alliance would develop rapidly. Over 1 billion celestial stones and about the same amount of treasures were enough for disciples of the Lu Alliance to use for 1,000 years. In a few hundred years, disciples of the Lu Alliance would grow up quickly. By then, they could go on missions and earn celestial stones themselves. Therefore, the Lu Alliance wouldn't have to spend so much money. When disciples of the Lu Alliance grew stronger, so would the Lu Alliance. There would be more ways to make money. Lu Li spent every day with them. Every now and then, he would take them to the universe controlled by the god of death and meet many disciples of the Lu Alliance. The days passed leisurely and contented. During this time, Yu Yang often accompanied him. What made him a little surprised was that Mo Qian Qian did not come to find him. She only saw him once when he came back and did not come to find him again. Emperor Yin came to see Lu Li once and explained the rights, responsibilities, and obligations of the inspector in detail. This was not a permanent position. Basically, everything in the God of Death would be handled by the 10 patriarchs of law enforcement. If something could not be done, it would be reported to the 9 leaders. Under the patriarchs of law enforcement were the departments. The God of Death was a large organization, but it had always been well managed by the departments and the patriarchs of law enforcement. In other words, inspectors had nothing to do. The God of Death didn't have many territories, and it wasn't the boss of the chaotic universe. Naturally, there was no need for inspectors. Inspectors would only be dispatched when there was an emergency that the patriarchs could not handle. Of course, if the patriarchs of law enforcement could not handle it, neither could the inspectors. In the end, the 9 leaders would have to deal with it. Therefore, strictly speaking, the position of inspector was an awkward one. He didn't have any real power, and he couldn't call the shots at critical moments. Of course, the patrol inspector could still mobilize martial artists, but what was the point of mobilizing them? Normally, he didn't care about anything. Was he supposed to mobilize a few hundred Grim Reapers and have them go around in circles? Of course, if this patrol inspector was very strong and had the ability to handle things, then he would have real power. After all, the tycoons would not be dispatched easily. The Grim Reaper's business was huge, and it often took on huge orders. Therefore, there would often be all kinds of trouble. If this patrol inspector could constantly handle all kinds of matters perfectly, establishing authority and credibility, then the patrol inspector might become a manager, and most of the matters would be handled by him. There was a very good mechanism within the Grim Reaper, and that was the capable ones would rise and the mediocre ones would fall. This was the tradition of the Grim Reaper. If Lu Li could demonstrate his great abilities, then he might be able to gain real power or even replace some of the giants. Patrollers could enter all the treasured lands within the Grim Reaper for free. Every year, they would receive a lot of top-notch resources. They could also be called a small tycoon. This was the right and duty of a patroller. In fact, back then, when the position of patrol inspector was established, it was mainly to rope in some supreme powerhouses so that he could enjoy a very high position. However, he could not be on equal footing with the giants. After a period of observation, some patrollers might be removed from their positions, while some patrollers might become big shots. He was young, in a high position, with many wives and concubines, and he was famous all over the world. Apart from the fact that Lu Li had no children, everything else was perfect. He had rebuilt his physical body, so he should have no problem in reproduction. However, it had been half a year since he came back, and nothing happened to his wives and concubines. Lu Li had lost all hope. He had to persuade Lu Ren Huang to get married and have a brother for Lu Li so that the Lu family could continue the family line. Lu Ren Huang did not agree. He had never thought about getting married for years. Lu Li had to go to Lu Zhengyang to pressure him. After much persuasion, Lu Ren Huang agreed to marry under the pressure of Lu Li's great-grandpa and grandpa. But she could only be a concubine. Lu Li's mother would be the principal wife. Lu Li was overjoyed to learn that Lu Ren Huang agreed. The Lu alliance was overjoyed as well. They got to work at once. Qi family, Xiang family, Hua family, and Yin family sent many young and beautiful ladies over. The families asked for their consent and sent them to Lu Ren Huang to choose. The goodies should be kept within the family. If Lu Ren Huang wanted a concubine, it would be Lu Li's stepmother. If word got out, many families would try their best to send young ladies of the immediate family to Lu Ren Huang. It was a once-in-a-lifetime chance to be connected by marriage with Inspector Lu. Lu Ren Huang was not old. He was only a couple of decades older than Lu Li. He did not look old either. His abilities had reached the martial emperor realm, and it would not be long before he reached the martial emperor realm. Therefore, many young ladies were happy to meet him. In the end, Lu Ren Huang chose a young lady from a branch of the Yin family. They were closer to the Yin family. Lu Ren Huang's heart belonged to someone else. Marrying a concubine was to ensure the continuity of the Lu family. The young lady of the Een family was virtuous and honest. Nothing would go wrong if he married her. Lu Renhuang and Lu Li had only asked for a small celebration. Unexpectedly, the news spread out. Once again, guests gathered at the Lu mansion. Even major families sent their young disciples to congratulate. It was a boisterous occasion. Lu Renhuang was not old at all. 4 months later, the young lady of the Een family was pregnant. Lu Li checked with psychic power and found that it was a son. Soon, Lu Li would have a brother. Lu Renhuang was embarrassed, and so was Lu Li. How could he have a half-brother at this age? That being said, this was common even in the Middle King realms, not to mention the chaotic star region. Many powerful warriors were tens of thousands of years old. On a whim, they would marry a concubine and have several children. Lu Li's wives and concubines began to look for famous doctors to see if they could cure Lu Li. They were eager to have a child of love with Lu Li so that they could have more children and develop the Lu family. Lu Li stayed at the Tianyu city leisurely for more than a year. His brother was born, a clever and adorable boy named Lu Hua. Lu Li's comfortable and leisurely life finally came to an end. 2 things happened recently. The first was the most talented genius of the Grim Reaper. That freak had come out from cultivation. Another thing was that something happened at the south of the Grim Reaper. Emperor Yin wanted Lu Li to go and deal with it. Li Heng. He was recognized as the most talented genius of the Grim Reaper. He could not be mentioned in the same breath as Lady Yuan. Li Heng was a real talent with incredible abilities. He had always been a loyal pursuer of Mo Qianqian and regarded her as his exclusive property. Not long after Li Heng came out, he said that he wanted to have a fight with Lu Li. Lu Li was an inspector, and Li Heng could not offend him openly. Therefore, he had to say it out loud. If Lu Li didn't accept the challenge, then he would become a laughing stock among the Grim Reaper. If he accepted the challenge, it would not be a good thing either way. Chapter 3296. Lu Li didn't care about Li Heng's challenge. He didn't care about his reputation either. He was an inspector. Even though Li Heng was the favorite descendant of a powerful warrior, would he dare to disregard the authority of the god of death and attack Lu Li recklessly? As for his reputation, what reputation did he want? Could reputation be used for food? What was the point of his reputation? It was not like he was going to lord over others. What did he want a good reputation for? Yu Yang had told Lu Li that Li Heng was the descendant of the most powerful warrior. If Lu Li hurt young Master Heng, that warrior would have a problem with him. If he didn't hurt young Master Heng, would he be beaten to the ground? Emperor of Wings had promised Lu Li that his family and loved ones would be safe. Therefore, Lu Li didn't mind. He went to the Hall of Patriarchs and asked Emperor Yin about the south. Don't worry about young Master Heng. Emperor Yin said to Lu Li as soon as he came in. The god of death has some ways to train his offspring. That being said, he is the chosen one after all. He has never been wronged. So, it is inevitable that he is a bit hot-tempered and condescending. Don't worry about him. He will calm down after a while. If he dares to offend you, just use your identity as an inspector to deal with him. Lu Li shook his head and said, Emperor Yin, don't worry. I will not argue with a kid. If I were to accept the challenge, I would have gone to the arena with him by now. Emperor Yin nodded, threw a document to Lu Li, and said, Take a look. I have to go to the north soon, or else I will have to deal with this. Emperor of Wings said that you should deal with it first and report to him if you can't. Lu Li took over the document and browsed. The cause was not complicated. The god of death took a big job. It was a patriarch of a race that asked the god of death to assassinate their patriarch. The patriarch was the son of the patriarch. The son killed his father. The patriarch was assassinated, but the truth was exposed. The patriarch ran away. Then, the patriarchs of the race were enraged. They asked the god of death to kill the patriarch for them, or else they would declare war against the god of death. There was a super family behind this race. A powerful warrior of the super family said that the god of death was not being fair, or that the patriarch was helping his son to kill the patriarch. This race was similar to the rainbow race, but they were quite hot-tempered. The big race behind them was even more powerful than the Hu race, so this matter was quite troublesome. Although Death wasn't afraid of that race's declaration of war, it would still cause some trouble if he didn't deal with it. At the very least, Death's reputation would be affected. Of course, the Grim Reaper had never had a good reputation. He had always done some shady business in the dark. How could he have a good reputation? There was only fame and notoriety. For example, what Luli had helped them earn before was fame, and what happened this time was notoriety. Luli nodded and said, "Do I have full responsibility for this?" Emperor Yin said nothing. He wanted to ask Luli what to do. That being said, Luli's status was about the same as his, and the King of Wings clearly wanted to see Luli's abilities. Therefore, Luli didn't ask further. He nodded and said, "Yes, you are fully in charge. As long as this matter is settled, you can use any means you want. Of course, you are representing the Grim Reaper. Try not to anger the Langding race." The Langding race was the big race behind that race, one of the top in the Chaotic Star region. They used to have a powerful warrior at the complete completion of the Langding race, but he passed away. Now, the Langding race had 14 powerful warriors that were very close to it. Luli understood now. Emperor Yin said, "Take Patriarch Yuba with you this time. You can mobilize all the forces at the south. Yuba can take care of everything for you." "Okay." Luli said nothing more. He turned around and left. Emperor Yin stood up with worry and sighed. Luli is an extreme person and likes to take unconventional measures. Is it the right thing to do to let him handle this? Don't let anything go wrong. Luli went back and told his family. Then he left with Yuba and Yu Yang. Yuba was Yu Yang's uncle, not a direct relative. The reason why Luli took Yu Yang with him was to give him more credit. Luli was a man that would repay kindness with kindness. Yu Yang had helped him so much, and this was not a difficult task. Naturally, Luli wanted to take Yu Yang with him. The three of them took the teleportation altar to a chaotic world in the south where the southern headquarters of the Grim Reaper was located. As soon as Luli and the others were teleported out, Saint Emperors from the Grim Reaper led them to a castle. "Greetings, Inspector Lu, Lord Yuba, young Master Yu Yang." Dozens of Saint Emperors had been waiting in the castle. They were part of the forces at the south. Yuba had sent a message and told them to wait for orders. Luli disguised himself as a regular middle-aged warrior in a cyan robe. He was different from the average Grim Reaper. Regular Grim Reapers liked to wear black clothes and some more cloaks. But Luli thought it was silly. Were they afraid that others wouldn't know they were assassins? What was going on? What was happening at the Lu race? Luli sat in the seat of honor, sipping tea and asking. The ones causing trouble were the Lu race. It was several days' journey from here. After 17 or 18 days to the south, they would be at the territory of the Lang race. A patriarch stepped out and reported, "Several patriarchs of the Lu race are here. They're in the Hun city. They came to us several times and said, if the Grim Reaper doesn't give us an explanation, then we will dismantle our branch here and uproot all the hidden forts in the south." "Really?" Luli raised his eyebrows in disapproval and asked, "Are there any powerful warriors of the Lang race in the Hun city?" "There are a few." The patriarch reported, "A young master of the Lang race just happened to come to the Hun city with 5 patriarchs of the later stage of Saint Emperor realm. They should be supporting the Lu race." Explanation? Luli thought about it and said, "Did they put forward 2 conditions? Either hand over the murderer or compensate them with celestial stones." "Inspector Lu, you are wise." The patriarch bowed. "Ha." Luli smiled lightly and said, "So it is not the Lu race that wants to cause trouble. It is the Lang race that wants to provoke our Grim Reaper? Or is it that the Lang race wants to find something to boost their prestige? Is that why they came to us who were in the limelight recently?" The group of patriarchs pondered and looked at Lu Li in the end, waiting for his decision. Luli finished the tea, stood up, and said, "Send out the invitation. Invite the patriarchs of the Lu race to the biggest restaurant in the city. Also, invite the powerful warriors of the Lang race and the Hun race, as well as a group of powerful warriors in the city. Tell them that the Grim Reaper's manager is here and give them an explanation in person." "What?" The group of patriarchs was stunned. Judging by Lu Li's momentum, was he going to start a fight? This inspector better not make a big mess. By then, they would all be implicated and punished. This was the Hun city, and the Hun race was a super race. If they started a fight in the city, it would infuriate the Hun race. By then, all of them would die. P.S. Make up for it. Chapter 3297. The dispute between the Lu race and the God of Death had caused quite a stir in the Hun city. The God of Death was in the limelight recently. How could the small Lu race fight with the God of Death? But behind the Lu race stood the Lang race. Maybe it was the Lang race that wanted to stroke the God of Death's whiskers. The Lang race was a bit arrogant recently. It was mainly because they found a land of treasures. It was an ancient land of treasures. Not only were there many top-level resources, but there were also many ancient relics. This made the Lang race's power grow. Recently, the major families of nearby universes didn't dare to provoke the Lang race. It was like the Lang race had a sword. They could draw the sword and look around, but they didn't have an opponent. The Lu race might have given the Lang race an excuse. Maybe they didn't have to fight the God of Death, but they might want to show off their muscles. Of course, these were just speculations. Nobody knew the specifics. The city was quite lively. Some important people from nearby families came to watch the show. They want to see how the God of Death would deal with it. Just last night, the southern branch of the God of Death sent out a letter to inform the Lu race that the negotiation would be held tomorrow. The God of Death sent out an important person. At the same time, the God of Death invited many founding patriarchs of major families to meet at the largest tavern in the city, the Wind Pavilion. The Hun race was invited as well. The clan leader of the Hun race attached great importance to it. He was afraid that the God of Death would fight with the powerful warriors of the Lu race and the Lang race in the city. Therefore, he sent out a founding patriarch who was infinitely close to the consummate realm. After the God of Death sent out the invitation, the city became lively that night. The news spread out. People in taverns and tea houses were talking about the negotiation the next day. What would be the outcome? Which important person would the God of Death send? Would a big shot come? At noon the next day, before lunchtime, the first and second floors of the Wind Pavilion were filled with warriors. They were all respectable warriors. Only warriors of the Emperor realm were qualified to sit here. There were also some taverns and restaurants near the Wind Pavilion. All of them were full of warriors. There were at least tens of thousands of martial artists nearby, and they were all paying attention to this negotiation. Several founding patriarchs of the God of Death came early to entertain the guests and arrange for order. The third floor of the Wind Pavilion was reserved. Warriors could not go there unless they were invited guests. More and more guests came. Barking Feather went to greet them, but Luli did not come out. After waiting for an hour, the experts of the Lu clan arrived. They were 3 founding elders, and all of them were late Saint Emperors. The Lu race were huge, and their bodies were covered in muscles. Many parts of their bodies had long yellow fur, even on their faces and hands. They looked like savages. Their eyes were really big and filled with a fierce light. Soon, the young master of the Lang Ding tribe also arrived. He wore a pink robe and had a face as white as a woman's. He was handsome and looked very much like a human, but his temperament was clearly similar to that of a demon. He had brought 5 elders with him, and he even had a beauty in his arms. His gaze was arrogant and cold, just like a peacock spreading its tail. Where are the important figures of your Grim Reaper? After the young master of the Lang Ding tribe came over, he looked at Yuba coldly and said, "You're really putting on airs. Are you here to negotiate? You don't have any sincerity at all. If you don't come in half an incense stick's time, we'll leave." An elder of the Lu clan also said coldly, "What nonsense are you Grim Reapers talking about? Tell your leader to come out now, or we will leave right away." Yuba said lightly, "Don't be impatient. My lord will be here soon." Buzzing. With a glare, an old man with a white beard came out. The warriors sensed it and stood up to salute. A powerful warrior of the Hun race who was infinitely close to the consummate realm was here. Lordly, many powerful warriors knew this chief elder of the Hun race. This Lord Li seemed to be a nice guy with a kind countenance. He chatted with them for a while with a smile. Then, Yuba arranged for him to sit at the first seat on the left. Whoosh! Right at that moment, from a castle in the distance, several men flew over and swaggered toward the wind pavilion. The leader was Lu Li in a black brocade robe specially made for the Grim Reaper. There were golden lines on the robe, and the badge of an inspector was on it. Lu Li flew into the wind pavilion. All the warriors on the side of the Grim Reaper dropped to one knee and said, "Greetings, Inspector Lu." Inspector? None of the warriors present had seen Lu Li's face or portrait. Therefore, they were all confused. When did the Grim Reaper have an inspector? Lu Li turned to the chief elder of the Hun race. He walked over, bowed, and shouted, "Greetings, Lord Li." What? Before anyone could say anything from the pavilion, the people on the ground floor and in the taverns nearby were in an uproar. The name Lu Li seemed to have some kind of magic power that stirred up commotion. Lu Li, more than a dozen patriarchs of different races were sitting in the pavilion of the Wind Pavilion. They were surprised that the Grim Reaper had a new inspector, and it was Lu Li, the most powerful assassin in the world, Yu Wang. Lu Li had defeated 2 major races on his own. Even though he didn't have a powerful chi and energy, and he seemed to be at the Emperor realm, none of the warriors at the Wind Pavilion dared to belittle him. Instead, they felt pressured by him. Even the Saint Emperors in the pavilion felt Lu Li was more pressured than the chief elder of the Hun race. Lu Li didn't look at the other warriors after he bowed. He didn't even pay attention to the young masters of the Langding race. He sat down at the host's seat. His eyes were sharp and sharp. He glanced over and finally stopped at the Lu race. He stared at the chief elder of the Lu race and said, "What do you want to talk about? I can negotiate on behalf of the Grim Reaper." A chief elder of the Lu race felt he was overwhelmed by Lu Li, and the tempo was under Lu Li's control. He was angry. He stood up and said, "Lu Li, a warrior of your Grim Reaper, has killed our patriarch." The chief elder of the Lu race said with killing intent, "Either hand over the murderer, capture our traitor, or compensate us. Or the Lu race will fight against your Grim Reaper." Lu Li reached out his hand. A maid served him a goblet of wine. Lu Li sipped slowly. Everyone was looking at him, but he didn't care. After he finished the wine, he spoke faintly. "You should know what we, the Grim Reaper, do. We only recognize celestial stones, and we will kill anyone who offers celestial stones. The culprit has run away. Why don't you go after him? Why are you blaming us? If you want us to catch the culprit, you can issue a task with celestial stones. We don't think we have done anything wrong. So where are you going to talk about compensation? As for fighting?" Lu Li paused for a moment. He suddenly turned to the chief elder of the Lu race and said, "If you want to fight, then you don't have to fight against the Grim Reaper. I, Lu Li, can play with the Lu race alone. How about we have a fight first? You can kill me and then fight against the Grim Reaper." End of this chapter. Chapter 3298. Lu Li's words were calm, as if he was not negotiating on behalf of the god of death, but a casual chat between 2 old friends in a tea house. However, as soon as Lu Li finished his words, the Wind Pavilion quieted down. Even the restaurants and tea houses near the Wind Pavilion lost their voices. It was eerily quiet. Was this an inspector of death here to negotiate on behalf of the god of death? This was more like a unilateral declaration of war. The declaration was so powerful that it seemed to be more horrifying than a declaration of war by the god of death. Previously, Lu Li had declared war on a major race, and the war was too tragic to look at. Many Saint Emperors were killed, and the clan suffered a great loss. In the end, the clan had to surrender. More importantly, Lu Li was playing with the Lu race by himself. It would be better if he was fighting the god of death. After all, the god of death had many fixed territories to attack. But if Lu Li was alone, where the hell would he go to find him once he went into hiding? Not unless he could be killed right now. The problem was that the powerful warriors of the Lu race who were close to the consummate level of the Lu race weren't here. Not unless the patriarch of the Hun race made a move. Would the patriarch of the Hun race make a move? That was impossible. The Hun race had always been peaceful and rarely had conflicts with other major races, not to mention fighting the god of death that they had no grudge against. Barkfeather was sad, and Sun Yu was speechless. Even though he was happy, this was not the way for Lu Li to deal with the problem. If the god of death really wanted to start a war, then Lu Li wouldn't have to come. He could just send out a notice. Is this the choice of the god of death? The patriarch of the Lu race glared at Lu Li coldly. He could not suppress his anger. He stared at Lu Li and said, "If the god of death wants to fight, if you are sure, then there is no need to talk. Are you deaf?" Lu Li glared at him and said coldly, "I am representing myself. If you don't want to talk, then I will play with you. Let's go." Lu Li waved his hand and walked out directly. At the door, he turned around and said, "You have two choices. Either I declare war on the Lu race in 10 days, or you send a patriarch to our branch with enough celestial stones. Then we could talk about hunting down the culprit. I, Lu Li, am not afraid of any threats, and I will not accept any threats. So is the Grim Reaper." Lu Li left, and Yu Yang and the others followed him. Seeing that the situation had come to this, Yu Ba had no choice but to leave with the team. When all the Grim Reaper's martial artists had left, the Lu clan's elders slammed the table furiously, smashing it into pieces. "Go!" The elders of the Lu tribe cupped their hands toward the young master of the Lang Ding tribe and left in a huff. They didn't dare to express their stance now. This matter would definitely be reported to the tribe and would have to wait for the opinion of the Lang Ding tribe. The young master of the Lang Ding tribe was very angry, but he didn't show it on his face. He didn't have the authority to make such a big decision, so he left with a gloomy face. Now that the main characters had left, the other spectators also took their leave. The Hun race's grand elder sighed and disappeared from the pavilion. After all the experts had left, the surroundings became lively again. Everyone exclaimed. The main topic of discussion was Lu Li, and they were guessing what the Lu race's reaction would be after 10 days. Lu Li and the others returned to the branch castle. Barkfeather and the others were all frowning, but they didn't say anything. Lu Li was an inspector, so he had full authority to deal with this matter. They couldn't blame Lu Li for what he had done, so they had to report it secretly. But Lu Li did a good job. He said he was going to declare war, but it was a personal declaration, not on behalf of the Grim Reaper. Therefore, even if the war did break out, the Grim Reaper wouldn't get into trouble for the time being. The Grim Reaper was an organization of assassins. At the end of the day, they were doing business. Since they were doing business, they wouldn't like to do things that didn't bring them profits. What could the Grim Reaper gain from fighting the Lu race and the Lang Ding tribe? Nothing. On the contrary, the Grim Reaper would suffer a great loss. "Why are you pulling such a long face?" Lu Li sat leisurely and said with a smile, "Don't worry. In 10 days, the Lu race will send over the celestial stones. You can arrange for people to go after that elder of the Lu race." Yu Yang and Barkfeather looked at each other, surprised. Yu Yang asked, "Lu Li, how can you be so sure? What if the Lu race really starts a war?" "War is between me and the Lu race. It has nothing to do with the Grim Reaper. What are you worried about?" Lu Li smiled lightly and said, "I just started a war with the Rainbow race and the Hu race not long ago. What is there to be afraid of about the Lu race and the Lang Ding tribe? They just have a few more powerful warriors that are infinitely close to the consummate realm. This time, the Lang Ding tribe just wants to show off their muscles. They can't afford to start a war with me. Okay, I will leave now. It is not safe here. In the next 10 days, I think the powerful warriors of the Lu race that are infinitely close to the consummate realm will take the risk to attack me. As long as they can't kill me, they will have to come to us with the celestial stones and ask for our help to find the culprit." Yu Yang wanted to say something, but stopped on second thought. In the end, he said nothing. Lu Li stood up and swaggered out. He said that they would talk in 10 days just to give the Lu race a chance to kill him. If the Lu race couldn't kill him, then they would have to come and hand over the celestial stones and admit defeat. As soon as Lu Li walked out of the Grim Reaper's branch, many psychic powers scanned over and locked onto him. Lu Li didn't mind at all. He just swaggered out of the city. Lu Li's strange behavior attracted the attention of many warriors. What was Lu Li doing? Was he going out of the city? Was he trying to lure the powerful warriors of the Lu race or the Lang Ding tribe to assassinate him? After Lu Li walked out of the city, he looked back at the city, smiled gently, and vanished on the spot. Lu Li's action made the powerful warriors of the Lang Ding tribe and the Lu race furious. Lu Li was provoking them. Lu Li was also sending a message. The 10 days were a chance for the Lu race and the Lang Ding tribe. If they couldn't kill Lu Li in 10 days, then they should go to the branch with the celestial stones. Lu Li's obvious provocation angered the Lu race and the Lang Ding tribe. Patriarchs of the Lu race and the Lang Ding tribe sent back messages. They responded quickly. Many powerful warriors of the two races teleported to the Han city. 2 days later, a powerful warrior that was infinitely close to the consummate realm of the Lu race came with 30 Saint Kings. The Lang Ding tribe also sent a powerful warrior of the same level with 30 Saint Kings. 62 powerful warriors sneaked out of the city and headed to the south in search of Lu Li. The Lang Ding tribe had sent scouts to track Lu Li. This time, Lu Li's whereabouts were easy to track. They had located him in a small city 300,000 miles to the south of the city. What was more, Lu Li had revealed his whereabouts. 62 powerful warriors secretly arrived at that city. The scouts reported that Lu Li was in the city. He was drinking tea leisurely, as if he was waiting for the powerful warriors of the Lu race and the Lang Ding tribe to come. Was it inappropriate to make a move when Lu Li was in a small city? To make a move inside the city would be to offend the Han race. While the powerful warriors were struggling, Lu Li suddenly left the city and swaggered to the west gate. Then he transformed at the top of his speed and dashed away like a sharp sword. Lu Li's departure was abrupt, and he was as fast as he could. Therefore, the powerful warriors lost track of Lu Li in an instant. A glint of killing intent rose in the eyes of the powerful warriors. They chased after Lu Li like crazy. Lu Li had given them such a good opportunity. If they didn't take it, then they would be idiots. End of this chapter. Chapter 32:99. 62 powerful warriors were on their way. Some of them were strong, some were weak, and some were fast. Soon, they formed a long line. After hundreds of thousands of miles, the two warriors at the front, who were infinitely close to the absolute realm, suddenly sensed some ripples in space. But the ripples came from two different directions. They looked at each other and went off in different directions. However, when they caught up, they saw a warrior running away in front of them. Both of them were at the Great Emperor realm, and they were not strong. They flew frantically and immediately stopped when they sensed a powerful aura behind them. Their faces were filled with fear as they looked at the expert who was chasing after them. No! The two warriors who were infinitely close to the absolute realm tried to check, but did not see Lu Li. Neither of them was Lu Li. All of a sudden, they sensed something was wrong. It seemed they had been tricked. It was like luring the tiger away from the mountain. Whoosh! The warrior on the left grabbed the fleeing Great Emperor Realm warrior by the neck and asked, "Why are you here? Who told you to do this?" It was a lord. The Great Emperor Realm warrior was trembling. He said, "A lord gave me 100 million celestial stones and told me to go this way as soon as he crushed the jade talisman. Lord, it is not my fault. I just want to earn some celestial stones." Boom! The warrior killed the Great Emperor Realm warrior with a flash of source energy. Then, he turned around and flew back the way he came. If Lu Li was using the diversion tactic, then he must have a plan. What would he be after? Only the Saint Emperors behind them. At this moment, the other supreme expert also came to his senses and immediately turned around. Soon, they ran into the more than a dozen Saint Emperors who were following them. The Saint Emperors were confused. Why did the two warriors stop? Boom, boom, boom. In the distance, the space began to tremble. Following that, there came some miserable cries. The two warriors who were infinitely close to the absolute realm became gloomy. One of them shouted, "We have been lured away. Go after them." The two warriors went after them as fast as they could. They were so fast that they arrived at the battlefield in the time for 5 or 6 breaths. However, by the time they arrived, they saw 3 dead bodies. One Saint Emperor was seriously injured and passed out on the ground. Another one was wounded. "Where's Lu Li?" The supreme expert of the Lang Ting tribe roared in anger. The injured Saint Emperor immediately shouted. They fled in that direction. They just left. Chase. The 2 supreme experts roared as they left. The remaining Saint Kings chased after them, leaving behind 4 Saint Kings to clean up the battlefield and tend to the 2 injured people. The 2 supreme powerhouses chased after him at top speed. Their divine wills also tried their best to search, but they didn't find anything. They had been following Lu Li for hundreds of thousands of miles, but they still could not find a trace of him. No, a powerful warrior suddenly came to his senses. He shouted, "Lu Li cannot be as fast as us. I don't think he ran this way. He might have been hiding nearby and then went over." Bang, 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 Ancestor T, Old Hu and the others are dead. A heavenly emperor's life, jade, talisman shattered as he cried out. It's really unpredictable. The 2 powerful warriors looked at each other in astonishment. Could Lu Li escape their detection? If so, then the Lang Ting tribe and the Lu race would be in danger once they started a fight with Lu Li. Lu Li could slaughter an entire race on his own. Spread out and surround him. One of the powerful warriors shouted, "If you run into Lu Li, do not fight him. Just keep him at a distance and wait for us to come." Yes. The group of experts received the order and fanned out to surround the battlefield. Unfortunately, when they arrived, there were only 5 corpses and nothing else. Lu Li had gone missing again, and they found nothing along the way. Lu Li didn't go far. He was nearby, and he went into the Dharma realm directly. He could sense the outside world by using the trace of the Great Path. After the 2 powerful warriors left, he came out and killed the 5 Saint Kings after a while. In a fight between powerful warriors, life and death could be decided in an instant. Lu Li fought against several powerful warriors and killed the 5 Saint Kings with the help of the purple divine liquid, the divine liquid of destruction and his strong body. At the moment, he didn't go far because he was injured. Also, if he ran away, he would be targeted by the 2 warriors who were infinitely close to the consummate realm. He would be discovered if he ran into the Dharma realm. He was healing his body quickly. He didn't go out to check. He just waited quietly. The 2 warriors who were infinitely close to the consummate realm were troubled. Should they go after Lu Li or not? Which way should they go? Should they go separately or together? Go. Finally, the powerful warrior of the Lang Ting tribe gave the order. So many Saint Kings had died. They must go after Lu Li. Even if all the Saint Kings were dead, they must go after Lu Li. How could they just give up like this? They were not willing to give up. They split up and went after Lu Li in 2 teams. Each team was led by a warrior infinitely close to the consummate realm. They went after Lu Li in an area with a radius of 3 million miles. They looked around and drove away all the scouts that came. The powerful warriors of the Lang Ting tribe said that they would kill anyone that dared to come close. The 2 powerful warriors had a feeling that Lu Li was still hiding in this area. They sensed that Lu Li's energy had disappeared in this area. They didn't believe that Lu Li could leave this area quietly. Unfortunately, after 2 days of searching, they found no trace. In the end, the 2 powerful warriors gave the order to split up and search. They wanted to lure the snake out of its hole and see if Lu Li would make a move. In just half a day, the snake came out. Lu Li made a decisive move. When a Saint King passed by his realm of magic, Lu Li dashed out and killed the Saint King in an instant. Whoosh! After that, Lu Li flew into the distance at once. After traveling for 3,000 miles, he entered the realm of magic again. Not long afterward, the 2 powerful warriors came back. They searched the area like crazy for Lu Li's whereabouts. The other Saint Kings swarmed over as well and began to search everywhere. Lu Li made a decisive move. He came out and killed another Saint King. Then, he went back into the realm of magic. Not long afterward, the 2 powerful warriors infinitely close to the consummate realm came back. They almost lost their minds when they saw the Saint Kings torn apart. They had guessed right. Luli was hiding in this area. He was killing powerful warriors of the two races right under their noses. But they just couldn't find Luli. This was so frustrating that they were about to lose their minds. They began to attack the ground in a frenzy. They blasted out huge ditches in the ground, trying to blast Luli out. Still nothing. After more than a dozen hours of random attacks, there was not a single piece of land that was intact within a radius of 3 million miles. Still, they couldn't find Luli. In the end, the powerful warrior of the Lang Ting tribe waved his hand feebly and said, "Let's go. Take the celestial stones and go to the Reaper's branch. This time, let's admit defeat." End of this chapter. Chapter 3300. Recently, the Lang Ding race wanted to find a big race to fight and show off their strength. The God of Death happened to be there. The Lang Ding race wanted to stroke the beard of the God of Death. However, before they could touch the beard of the God of Death sent out a tiger cub and smashed the tentacles of the Lang Ding race and the Lu race. The Lu race admitted defeat. They took the celestial stones and went to the branch of the God of Death, asking the God of Death to help them hunt down the culprit. At the same time, the Lu race released news that they had reached a reconciliation with the God of Death and would not go to him again. The meaning of reconciliation meant that he was terrified. Even though the fight with Luli was not publicized and no scouts found out, there was no doubt that Luli had won. Luli had defeated more than 60 powerful warriors of the Lu race and the Lang Ding race. He had beaten them into submission and made them lower their heads. The news spread out, and Lu Li's reputation was even more famous. Once again, Luli was listed as a person not to be messed with by many big races and powerful warriors. Yu Yang and Yu Ba were taken aback. They didn't expect that things would end up like this. Lu Li's seemingly crude and simple method was very effective. He saw the problem easily. This was supposed to be a troublesome matter. No matter how it was handled, it would be difficult for both sides to be satisfied. Even Emperor Yin and the others would have a headache. So what if a powerful warrior was here? Could he suppress the Lang Ding race and the Lu race? The Lang Ding race and the Lu race were here for nothing. The God of Death had been following the patriarch of the Lu race. It was easy to catch him. Luli didn't catch him because he couldn't lower his head. If the Lu race had forced him to catch him, then the God of Death wouldn't be able to do anything in the future. In just half a month, the patriarch was caught. Luli didn't even have to do anything. He gave the patriarch to the Lu race, and the matter was completely settled. Lu Li and the others returned to the imperial court with Yu Yang. Yu Ba stayed here to deal with the aftermath. After Lu Li went back, he didn't go to the Lu mansion. Instead, he went directly to the Hall of Patriarchs to report. Emperor Yin went to the north. The most recent patriarch in charge was Emperor Su. He was satisfied with Lu Li's handling of the matter. The 9 warriors received the report as well, and they gave Lu Li high praise. Lu Li had thought everything was settled. He was about to leave when Emperor Su threw out a file and said, "There is one more thing at the southwest. Our Hall of Patriarchs has been busy lately. If you don't mind, can you go and take care of it?" Lu Li frowned. Didn't inspectors have nothing to do? Why were there so many trivial matters? If he had to deal with everything, then he wouldn't have to do anything. He could just help the Grim Reaper deal with things every day. Even though he was unhappy, Lu Li still took over the file. He flipped through it and felt a bit better. This was indeed a tricky matter. Regular Saint Emperors would not be able to handle it. Patriarch of Law Enforcement, Lu Li, or some other powerful figures had to go, because this matter also involved a large clan. The Grim Reaper found a supreme herb in a place. It was not an average one. It was the kind that could only be found once in 100,000 years. But the herb was blooming. After the blooming and the fruit, the Grim Reaper could find a way to grow more of this herb. Therefore, the Grim Reaper didn't pick the herb right away. Coincidentally, a scout from a major clan found the herb and reported to that clan. The Grim Reaper mobilized more than a dozen Saint Emperors. At the moment, the Grim Reaper was surrounded. That was the territory of that clan. The clan claimed that they had found the herb many years ago, and they had been waiting for it to ripen. Clearly, this was nonsense. There was no warrior guarding the herb. How could such a rare herb not be guarded by powerful warriors and armies? Therefore, the two sides began to wrangle. The major clan hadn't made a move yet, but it was possible that they were going to. Therefore, a powerful warrior was needed to go and stabilize the situation. Otherwise, not only would the herb be taken away, but the Saint Emperors would be killed as well. There was no doubt that Lu Li's reputation was suitable to go. To a certain extent, Lu Li's deterrence was even greater than that of a warrior of the Grim Reaper. Seeing that Lu Li didn't say anything, Emperor Su said with a smile, "Inspector Lu, you don't have to do this. But we really don't have enough people. If you don't go, then we will have to ask a warrior to go." "I will go." Lu Li looked up and said with a smile, "I am a member of the Grim Reaper, and he has helped me a lot. How can I stand by and do nothing when he is in trouble? I will go back now, and I will depart tomorrow." "Okay, thank you." Emperor Su nodded and said, "Our attitude is that we must get the herb even if we have to go to war with the Gue race. The Gue race only has two powerful warriors that are very close to the consummate realm. It will be easy for us to destroy them." "I see." Lu Li was relieved to hear this. In this way, he wouldn't have to worry about everything. He turned around and went back to the Lu mansion. He stayed with his family for a while and told them about the situation with the Langding race. He also told them that he was going to the Gue race soon. His family didn't say anything. After all, what they got was proportional to what they gave. The Grim Reaper had given Lu Meng so much that Lu Li had to pay a corresponding price. Lu Li rested for a day and set off again with Yu Yang. They teleported all the way and arrived at a big universe near the Gue race in 10 days. The herb was not in the Gue race's universe. It was in a small universe of the affiliated Gue race. A Grim Reaper found it by accident when he was on a mission. Lu Li took Yu Yang and the two Saint Emperors with him and flew to the small universe on a battleship. The scouts of the Grim Reaper had contacted them and reported the situation there. There was no fight yet. The Gue race probably didn't have enough strength to offend the Grim Reaper. That being said, the herb did belong to the Gue race. It would be a loss to just give it up like this. The Gue race probably wanted some compensation. Therefore, they still surrounded the Saint Emperors of the Grim Reaper. Clearly, they wanted to negotiate with the Grim Reaper and get some compensation. After 3 days, Lu Li and the others entered the universe. Lu Li didn't go invisible. He swaggered in with Yu Yang and then flew toward the Infinity Sea where the herb was. The Infinity Sea was a dangerous place. There were many powerful sea beasts here. Anyone who got close would be attacked. Of course, at the moment, all the sea beasts near an island in the middle of the Infinity Sea were scared away. The Gue race had mobilized more than 30 Saint Emperors and more than 100,000 warriors to surround the island. After entering this place, Lu Li asked Yu Yang to release the battleship and hang a flag on it with the word Lu written on it. He took Yu Yang and the two Saint Kings to the deck and flew directly to the big island. Lu Li. Yu Yang stood next to Lu Li. He touched his nose, feeling something was wrong. He said, "Are we still the Grim Reaper? How come I don't feel like an assassin anymore?" Assassins always walked in the dark. Their actions were wretched and low-key. However, Lu Li had dealt with these two cases with great fanfare. It was as if he wanted everyone in the world to know that he was Lu Li. Inevitably, Yu Yang felt uncomfortable. Lu Li smiled lightly and said, "It doesn't matter what methods you use. As long as you can achieve your goal, then you are a qualified Grim Reaper." End of this chapter. Chapter 33:01. Inside the Infinity Island, more than a dozen Saint Emperors gathered in a small valley. There was a thick yellow smoke outside the small valley, which was obviously poisonous. But there was no smoke in the valley. In the center of the valley was a purple plant with 7 leaves. The plant glowed, and the yellow smoke was pushed away. The 13 Saint Emperors were around the purple plant, which was blooming. It would take more than a month for it to bear fruit. Therefore, the Saint Emperors of Grim Reaper had to wait. Powerful warriors of the Gui's race didn't enter the island. Large as the island was, the powerful warriors outside could use psychic power to see what was inside. If they wanted to kill their way in, they could do so in the time for one breath. The 13 Saint Emperors of Grim Reaper were not frightened at all. As the god of Grim Reaper, they had seen through life and death. They didn't believe that the Gui's race would dare to do anything to them. Under the revenge of the god of Grim Reaper, the Gui's race would cease to exist. Whoosh! From a north came a noise which caught the attention of many warriors and warriors outside the island. The 13 Saint Emperors in the valley opened their eyes as well. Many people used psychic power to check the battleship. When they saw the huge Lu character on the flag, the warriors nearby were alarmed. Even the Saint Emperors were frightened. Swish, 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 the Saint Emperors in the valley all stood up in excitement. They had heard of this Inspector Lu. They didn't know that the important man sent by the god of Grim Reaper was Lu Li. Lu Li was not on the deck. Only Yu Yang and the others were. The battleship flew over quickly and arrived at the warriors outside the island. Although the nearby army was very afraid, they still quickly surrounded the warship and surrounded it. Yu Yang and the 2 Saint Emperors stood on the deck fearlessly. Soldiers were the guts of a general, and the general was the soul of soldiers. They had nothing to fear now that Lu Li was in the cabin. More than a dozen Saint Emperors of the Gui's race came over. One of them bowed and asked, "Are you Inspector Lu Li?" Lu Li didn't come out, but he said, "Get out of the way with your warriors. I want to go to the island." Lu Li's voice was calm, but there was an indisputable tone. His arrogance angered the Guis. The more than a dozen Saint Emperors glared at him. The patriarch snorted and said, "Inspector Lu, are you here to negotiate or to declare war? If you get out of my way within 10 breaths of time, we can still talk." Lu Li's cold voice came again. "If you don't move aside in the time for 10 breaths, then don't blame me for being rude. The countdown starts now." Insolent, domineering, insufferably arrogant. That was the feeling Lu Li gave to all the Guis. At this moment, many Guis were filled with killing intent. They were a large clan in the vicinity, and they had always been the ones bullying other clans. No other martial artist had ever dared to humiliate them like this. However, none of the Guis dared to make a move. At this moment, there was a strange silence outside the island. Not even the sound of breathing could be heard. If it were not for Lu Li, they would have rushed over and defended the glory of the Duans with their blood and lives. However, he was Lu Li. His fame, which was as vast as the sky, brought him a powerful halo and also brought endless pressure to the Gui clan. Once, the Rainbow Race and Lu Li were at war. Now, the Rainbow Race had been sealed off. Later on, the Hu race became Lu Li's enemy and was forced to sign an agreement. Not long ago, the Lu race and the Lang Ting race tried to appease the god of death, but were defeated by Lu Li alone. Was the Gui clan really able to provoke such a powerful existence? Out of the way. After the time for 5 breaths, the chief patriarch of the Guis yelled with his teeth clenched. His voice seemed to be coming from his throat. Powerful warriors and troops nearby were relieved. They moved to the sides and made way for the Guis. Buzzing, the battleship slowly advanced and flew into the island. Yu Yang and the 2 Saint Kings straightened their backs with arrogant expressions on their faces. At this moment, they felt that they were not assassins who walked in the dark, but more like proud knights. As the battleship sailed into the island, a chief patriarch of the Guis flew away. Clearly, he was going to report to his clan. The troops continued to seal off the island. The battleship sailed into the valley. Lu Li came out and went down with Yu Yang and the others. "Greetings, Lord Inspector Lu." The more than a dozen Saint Emperors dropped to one knee with reverence. Lu Li was much younger than them, but the world only respected the powerful. There is no doubt that Lu Li was a powerful warrior, one that could make them kneel before him willingly. Lu Li waved his hand. Looking at the herb, he asked, "How much longer?" "About a month and a half," the Saint Emperor of Death reported. Lu Li nodded and disappeared after he said, "Stay here. I will take you away in a month and a half." With that said, Luli vanished on the spot without a trace. The 13 Saint Emperors tried to sense Lu Li's presence. They were all shocked. It was said that Lu Li had mysterious art of hiding. It seemed that the rumor was true. Lu Li had vanished into thin air, and they could not find any trace. The powerful warriors of the Guis outside had been observing the valley with psychic power. They were shocked to see this. The rumor was true. Lu Li's art of hiding was so powerful. Of the entire chaotic star region, apart from warriors at the complete realm, nobody could find him. The Saint Emperors of Death were relieved. With Lu Li here, the Guis would not dare to touch them. In a month and a half, the fruit would bear fruit. They could take the herb and leave at once. I hope there will be no more side issues. Yang was also sitting with his legs crossed in the valley. Even though he trusted Lu Li, he didn't want anything to go wrong. Every time he went out with Lu Li, it was impressive and enjoyable. However, every time he went out with Lu Li, he would be on tenterhooks. If he was not careful, something big could happen. Lu Li didn't pay attention to what was going on outside. Yu Yang would crush a jade talisman to inform him if anything happened. He was cultivating in the realm of Dharma. His soul needed nourishment, and there was room for his body to be improved as well. At the same time, he was thinking about his future path of cultivation. He was satisfied with his current abilities. But if he could continue to improve, he could kill most of the warriors that were close to the complete realm. Undoubtedly, he would be more satisfied, and the Lu family would be safer. When he reached that level, he would have the chance to become a leader of the Reaper. With the help of the Reaper, the Lu family could develop quickly. He could also become one of the leaders of the chaotic star region. By then, no one could threaten the safety of him and the Lu family. If he could reach that level, then his life would be worth it. He wouldn't stir up any more trouble. He would just stay in the Reaper quietly and live out the rest of his life in leisure. He was not an ambitious man. He once had a key to enter the immortal region, but he was not in the mood to study it. He never thought about entering the immortal region. Now that the key was destroyed in the eye of destruction, he was even less concerned. If he could be happy and healthy, he wouldn't want to be a vagabond. End of this chapter. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.